this is how the home page would look like. So when someone will install the extension, this is what they will get. So first thing, they have to, if they have their account, all they have to do is to put their email ID and password, and they will get into their MetaMask wallet. But if they don't have the account, so all they have to do is to click on this create, and from here they can create their accounts. And when they will create their account, they will not only create their account in the MetaMask, but they will also get their own private keys. So what I will do, I'll come back to the login. First, let me get into my account based on login. So what I will do here is I'm going to simply type my credentials. So I'll say Daulat Hussain, so it's there, and I will type my password, and I will simply click on this login. So once I will click on the login, here you can see, here you will find the home page, and here you will find all the details, all the tokens you have imported. Like if you want to send Ether to any wallet, you can simply transfer. You can pass the amount and pass the wallet address, and you can transfer the fund. I'll show you. And here we have the account. So if you want to use other account instead of the account you have in your MetaMask, this one, you can simply do that. So from here you can import the account using the private key, and all the account will reflect here. You can simply click on that, and that will be selected, and you can easily able to start doing the trading. And from here you can import the token. So you can do in two ways. You can take the address of the token and you can import the token in the MetaMask. But here what we are doing for simplicity, we are taking the address, name, and the token symbol. These are the three information we are taking. Okay, so that's what we have here. And if you click here, you can easily able to log out from the application. So let me first, what I would show you, so what I will do, I'll simply log out from the application. So here you can click on that and you can log out from the application. So let me create an account and let me show you. So when you will install the extension, this is exact interface you will get. And from here you have to click on this create account, and from here you have to do is simply click on this create account, and here you have to provide all of this informations. So we going to keep this information into our backend part. Just a moment. So what I will do, I'll show you the backend part as well. So first thing, I'm going to give the name. So I'll say, let's say Shoaib Bhai, and I have to give the email ID. So what I will say, let's call it Bhai because I already have registered Shoaib Bhai. So I'll say bhai@gmail.com, and I have to pass my password. They'll say not PASS pass. Then I will come here, PASS pass. Let's provide S, and then click on this sign up. And here we are making the transaction. You can see we have logged into the applications, and what this transaction done, it will create a new wallet address for us. So you can see this is the new wallet address we have created. You can click on that and you can simply copy, and this is the address we have generated. So this is the wallet address we have generated, and the private key is already set in the backend. Okay, so I removed that. So you can see the private, you can see we are fetching the balance, and we have nothing in here, nothing in this account, nothing in here to transfer the fund on this particular address. So I will simply click on that. I have copied that one. Now I will click on this login. Let me log into the application. So I'll say Shoaib, I'll say this is the one which has couple of fund, and here I have this. You can see I'm logged into my account, and this much fund I have in this particular wallet address. So what I will do, I will simply transfer the fund, the account I have created. So I'll click on this send. I'll pass the amount which I want to transfer. I'll want to pass something like let's say 3. That's the amount I want to transfer, and let me give the wallet address. So this is the wallet address on which I have to transfer the fund. I'll click on this transfer, and here the transaction is happening. Just wait. So this will take a little bit time, and once the transaction will complete, you will get an input. So you can see the transaction is successfully completed. You can click here and you can easily able to verify the transaction here on the Polygon. So still the transaction is in the pending mode. So by the time the transaction is getting confirmed, what I will do is, so things are looking pretty fine. I'm going to show you that how you can import the account. The balance is automatically deducted. Earlier we had 6, now it's 3. Means we have transferred the fund in that particular address we have generated. So what I will do, I'll simply click on this log out, and now have to pass my email ID and the password which we have created recently. So I'll say, what is the email I give? bhai@gmail.com, and here I have to pass the password, and that's the email ID and the password. Click on login, and here we are back into our MetaMask account, and here you will find this much fund we have transferred in this particular address. we have that one. You can see everything is working absolutely fine. So now what I want to do is, so you can see the transfer function is already working absolutely fine, and the account creation is also working fine. So when you will create your account, it will create the private key, it will create the wallet address, it will create the mnemonic foundations. That's all will create. So now what I want to do is, so if I come back here in the import, so for example, I want to import any token and I want to store here like this. So right now we have these 3 tokens and I want to store any other token. So what I will do, let me open the MetaMask and now let me import the token. So I'll click here and click on here, and you can give the address of the token, you can give the name, so it's SIBA, and that's the name, and you can give the name, same name as a SIBA. Here it's totally up to you. Okay, that this is what I'm calling to this particular token. If I click on this import, it's going to make the transaction, and you will find that here we have included the token. And you can do tons of things. You can check the history of this particular token, you can fetch the balance, all of things you can do. So the token is added in your wallet. So this is how you can add the token. It's there. Now we have done with this token import, we have done with the send functionality. Now let me show you that if you want to import any wallet address, you can do that as well. So now what I want to do is I want to import the account. So right now I'm using this particular account, has 3 Metacoin, and I want to use something else. So I want to use this very first one. So if I click on that, you can see it's fetching the balance, and here I have this particular amount in this particular one, and here you can able to find all the details. Here you can display all the recent activities which anybody, like the individual, is doing on the MetaMask account. So you can display that as well, and from here you can easily able to click on logout. So if you click on that logout, here you are logged out with the application. So what I have done, I have created this folder MetaMask, and in that we're going to write the entire code for our project. So make sure to open this particular folder in VS Code, come back here. You can use any code editor, but I'm using Visual Code because it's my favorite. So click on this open and come back to the desktop, and from here you have to select the folder. So here we are in the MetaMask folder. Now the very first thing we have to do is come back here in the Google Chrome and come to the blockchain coder. I have given the starter file and the final code so you guys can get that. So come back to the code section, the source section and source code section. And from here you can easily able to filter. So click on this recent post, and this is the one which you have to click on that. And from here you will get the final code which we go to build, and you can get the starter file. So in that you will have all the codes, all the assets which is already given to you. Simply copy that URL and come back to the VS Code. So you can see all the relevant information is provided to you, so you can have a look from your end. Now what we can do is simply copy the URL, come back to the VS Code, open up your terminal, and now we have to simply clone the repository. So open up the terminal, type, let's bring this little here, and type git clone, paste the URL, and you have to give this dot. This means that the entire repository will be cloned in the same folder. So hit enter. This is going to clone the repository. You can see we have all the folders and files. Looks pretty good. So this is the git folder, in that you will have all the ideas that what the repository location is. So this is the one, and this is the asset folder we have. Inside that you will find all the assets, including the CSV file and the images we are using. So this is the images we have, and this is the CSV file, the icons, it's already there. So simply close this one, and this is the folder for the API. In that we're going to build the entire API of our MetaMask clone. So open that one. In that you will find couple of folders and files. So this is the API folder. In that you will have this 3 folder: controller, model and routers. Inside the controller we'll have this auth controller. In that we're going to write the entire logic for our applications, like login, logout, sign up, fetching the accounts, all of things we're going to do in our author controller. Then we have this model. We have 3 different model. So we have the account model, we have the token model, we have the user model. We're going to code it together, and then we have the router, and that we have this 3 different router locations. So this is the API folder we have, and here we have the app.js. In that we're going to do the configuration, and this is the config file. So make sure to have the exact variable. I'll show you that how you can get the database URL and the password from MongoDB. So just be with me. You can see this is what you will get. All you have to do is to replace the string for the database and the password, which I will cover when we start working on the API section. And this is the package.json file. So I want you to install the exact packages. If you install any other version, it's not going to work. If you look at the Express, we are into the latest version. Right now we have 5 or 6, But in this project we are using this particular version because the kind of configuration I'm going to follow, it's going to be based on this particular version. So if you use any update version, it's not going to work and you will have a lot of error. So that's why I have provided the starter file. So you have to install the exact packages. So all of these packages we need. This is the packages. Close this one, and this is the server which we're going to write the code and it's going to start our application. So looks pretty good. So this is the entire Chrome API. Close this one, and here we have this Ether library. So this is the entire library we have used internally, and that's what you have to do. So when you are building extension or when you're building any application, it's always necessary that you have to use the entire library locally. So in that way, what will happen that you don't need to depend on the external resources for fetching the library. So if the location where the library is stored, that website is slow, then your application will not work and it will take time. So it's always important that when you are building an application for the production, you should install the library, have the library in your project, and you can use it from there. And that's what we have here. This is the Feb icon because we need to have an icon so we can display in our browser in the extension field. And this is the manifest file. So in that we're going to write the entire code, all the configuration, including the name, version, descriptions, icons, and the methods, the actions we want to provide. That's all we're going to configure here. Then we have this pop-up HTML, and this is where we're going to write the entire HTML for our project. So we're going to write it together. And here we have the pop.js file, and this one is the main file. In that we're going to write the entire functionality of our MetaMask clone, all the logic, all the functions. That's all we're going to write it here. This is the style file. In that we're going to write the entire CSS, and this is the readme file. Here you will find some couple of important resources which you can have a look. So we will have the important location, you can have a look from your end. So close this one, and that's the entire starter file. I hope so far everything is clear and you guys have understood that what is the structure we're going to follow. So first we're going to develop this entire extension locally, and then we're going to deploy this extension to our Chrome web store. Okay, so first we're going to start working with the pop.js file. After that we're going to work on the API, then we're going to work on the CSS, and at the end we're going to work on the HTML, and after that we're going to deploy that. So this particular course is going to be in 4 to 5 parts. Okay, so let's start working on the pop.js file first, and that's what we're going to work it. Then we're going to work on the API, you can see, and then CSS, and then HTML, and looks pretty good. So let's come here, and now we're going to start working on our pop.js file. So let's build out all the features and functionality for our extension, including the API calls, generating the private key and the passwords for the MetaMask wallet, all the things. Okay, so this one is the very important part of our MetaMask clone. So make sure to watch this very focusedly to try to understand every single thing we're going to cover in this particular video. Target the DOM. So we'll say document.addEventListener. So what we have to do is we have to, when the browser will reload, we have to load our script. So we'll say DOM, it's come here, remove this, we'll say DOM content load, and we have to call this functions, and in that we have to target all the element. So like we'll have to attach the add event listener on the button. So whatever button we're going to attach the functionality, that's all we're going to target right in this DOM content loaded. And that's how you have to follow when you are using plain vanilla JavaScript, because we are not using any framework. So come here, let's say in that we going to target the elements on which we have to attach the function. Okay, so far so good. Now we can come here, let's define our variables. The state variable we're going to manage, because we are providing multiple accounts, we are providing multiple networks, so that's all we have to manage. So let's define a couple of state variable, and that's how you can define when you are working in our vanilla JavaScript. So let's call it state variable. Then we have to define the very first variable is the provider, and this provider can be hard coded or it can be dynamic. It's totally up to you, but in our case we are providing multiple provider. So by default I will go with a fixed value, and if user want to change the network, they can do that. So let's keep it empty string. I'll tell you how you can get the string for the provider. Then we have to take another one, we'll say let provider, and we'll say this private key, and we'll take this address. So these are the three data we need, because the account will change, the private key will also change. So that looks pretty good. Now we have to write all the functions. So let's write down the entire function which we're going to create, and then we're going to build the logic inside the function. So let's call it function, and let's build the function. So we'll say function handler. So this is the one function we're going to have in our project. Then let's write the second function. This will be called check balance, and all we have to do is to pass the address of the user into this check balance function, and it's going to give us the balance. So that's the second function. Let's write the third function. It's called get open network. So this will allow us to open the network component. And let's write the fourth one. This will say get selected network. So this will allow us to select the network which we want to connect. Let's call the other function is called set network, and this will set the network. Let's try the another one which we'll call logging user. So this function is allow user to log in into our application. Let's slide the another one called create user, and now we'll come down. We have to write the other one which will be the open create. So this function will allow us to open the create model, so user can put their credential and they can create their accounts. Let's write the another function, and this will what we should call, we'll say sign up. And let's write another one. This will call login. Let's come down. Let's write another one. This will call log out. So this will allow user to log out. And let's write another one. This will say open transfer, and this will open the transfer component. Then we have to write another one. This will say go back. So this function will use to go back into the previous component. That's why I've given this name. Let's write another one. This will call the open import component, and this will be called, let's say, import go back. And let's write another function. This will call, let's say, function open active. So this will open the activity component. And now we have to write another one. This will say open assets. So this will give us all the assets which we going to fetch from our database, or the user will stake in our MetaMask clone. Then we'll write another one. This will say home page. So this function will take us back to the home page. And now we're going to write another one. This will call the, let's say, open import model. We'll come down, we'll write another one. This will call, let's say, close import model, because one will open, we need to have another function which can close. Let's write another one. This will say add token. So user can add their token which will reflect in our MetaMask. I add another one. This will say add accounts, so we can add the account. Let's write another one. This will say my function, and this function will allow us to reload all the data at the time of MetaMask open. Okay, so whenever someone will open our extension, this is the function we're going to trigger, and it's going to load the entire data. This one is going to be pretty huge. This function we have to write call copy address. So this is pretty simple. User can copy the address and from the MetaMask, and now we have to get the last function which call change account. So this function allow user to change their wallet addresses, so they can change from account A to account B. So it looks pretty good. You can see we have a lot of function to create. Here we're going to call all the element on which we have to trigger the events. That's all we're going to cover. And here we are managing the state. So we have this 4 variables, and we have all of this function, handler, check balance. That's tons of function we have here. Hope so far things are making sense to all of you guys. And now we're going to start working on the elements. So we're going to target all the elements. So far we haven't done anything in our HTML, but I already know that on which ID, on which element I'm going to trigger the event. So that's why I'm going to write the entire logic first, and then we're going to simply attach the function. We have to simply pass the ID into the elements, and we will have the function. So let's target all the element, and make sure to give the exact ID or the class name which I'm providing here. If you not provide this, you will have an error, because this is the exact ID we're going to attach in our DOM element. So looks pretty good. Now come here. Let's zoom a bit, and now first we'll say document.getElement by ID, and we have to target the first ID, which is account listed. So this is the ID I'm going to give, and we're going to attach add event listener, and we're looking for the click event, and we're going to call this particular function hand change account. Okay, this is the function we have. Come down, this is the function we're going to call it. So that's how we're going to trigger the functions on the click event. So that's the very first DOM element we have connected. Now simply grab this one and paste couple of times, because this is the exact model we have to follow. All we have to do is to pass the ID and the function will work fine. Now let's change this ID to user address, and we have to change the function name to copy address. Change this one as well. So this one will say transfer funds, and this one will say handler. So these are the three component we have target. Let's copy this part, copy this one, and paste couple of time. So like we are done with this. Now we have to change the ID. So this will call header network, and here we're going to call the function get open network. This will say network item, and this will say get selected network. This will call add network, and we have to call this to set network, and this will be our login account, and this will be the login user. So simply save it, copy this one, and paste couple of time. Looks pretty good. And now we have to simply change the name and the function. So here we are. Here we have to come and we have to change the name. So we'll call let's side account create, and we have to create the function. It's called the function create user. Then we have to come here and we have to change the ID to open create, and in this we're going to call this function open create, and we'll call this one sign up, and this will be the sign up, and this one is login up, and this will be the login. So these are the function we have. Now simply grab one more time and paste couple of time. Let's change the ID, logout, and we'll call this logout function. And we have this open transfer, let's say transfer, and we have to call this function called open transfer. Come here, change this to go back, and we'll call this go back function. Now we have to change this ID. We'll say open import, and this will be the open import. So it looks pretty good. So far we have targeted all the elements. Let's target the one which are left. Come here, bring this down, and now we have to change the ID. So this will be the, let's say open, let's call it open assets. Here we're going to call it open asset. This will be the open activity, and this will be our open activity. Come here, change the ID to go home page, and this will be the function home page, go home page. And now we have to change this ID. It will say open account import, and here we have to call this import model. So copy this one and paste here, and now we have to change the name. So this will be our, let's say close import account, and we have to simply change this one to close import model. Come back here, we have to target the add new token, and this will be say add token, and this one will be our add new account, and we have to call this add account and remove this one. So we have taken all the component and we have attached the function on the IDs. All we have to do is to simply attach this ID into the elements, and we'll have the functionality. So hope so far everything is clear to all of you guys. So this is the first element, this is the second one, this is the third one. We have the open network, we have the select network, we have the set network, login user, create, open create, sign up, login, log out, open transfer, go back, import, open assets, activity, go home page, import model, and we have the close input model, we have the token, let's give a space, and we have the add new. So this is the entire element we have target, and that's the only thing we have to do. As for we have to target the element. Now come here, so open this, let's have a look one more time, and everything's look good to me. Now we need to come here and simply go to this alchemy, because we need the provider so we can easily able to interact with the blockchain. So click on the sign up. I have already created my account. Make sure to create your own account, and I have shown it, explained this tons of time in the previous project, so you can check other project, and that's a very fairly simple process. All you have to do is to verify the emails and provide all the data, and you will have your account. Now come here, I'm going to simply log in, and once you will log in, and once you create your account and log in to the Acme, this is the dashboard you will find. You can see I have created a lot of project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my default network, which is going to be a Polygon, and I will simply copy this HTTP. So here you have three methods: API key, HTTP, and WebSocket. So all of these are very fairly simple one, but we're going to use the HTTP one because that's very easy. So simply copy that one and come back here in the code and simply paste here, because we are focusing on the Polygon Mumbai, and that's where I'm going to do the testing. So that's what we have, and that's the exact thing you have to do in any network. Okay, so that's the provided URL we have. And what I will do is I have this 3 state variable. So for the time being, I guess I can comment this provider. Okay, we'll do that. Come back here in the handle function, and what I can do is let's write the entire function for this particular one. Okay, so now let's start writing the function for our handler. So what we have to do is first we have to target the DOM. So we'll say document.getElement by ID, and in that we have to get the particular ID. So we'll say transfer and transfer center, and we have to set display to none, flex. And why we are doing so, because when someone will call this function, we have to display our loader. Okay, so we are simply setting our loader, and then we're going to do all the logic. So we have to show the loader, and we'll come down here, and now we have to take the variable. So we'll take the amount, and that will come from the input field. So get element by ID, and it will have the ID amount, and we'll call this value. So this will give us the amount. Let's bring it back and simply replicate it, paste here, and we have to get the simple address where we want to transfer the fund, and we'll say address. So these are the two data we have. Now come down here. So if I come back here in the MetaMask, let me log in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my private key and the address as a reference in the function, so we can test it with the code. So you can come back to the MetaMask, and you can see this is the account we have. So what I will click on this 3 dot, go to the accounts, and from here you can able to access your private key. So I'll simply pass my private key. I will simply copy that one, come back here, and I'm going to take a variable, and I'm going to keep my private key right up here. I'm showing you my private key, but I don't want you to utilize it because this is for the testing purpose. And so I hope that thing you guys will not do. So this is the private key, and here I'm going to paste this particular one. So paste it, copy this one, and paste here. So this is the private key I have. Let me give this variable name. Now what I'm going to do, I will take the address, which is going to be where I'm going to transfer the fund as a test. So I will come here, and I'm not going to take this particular address. I'm going to take the other address. So this time I'm not using the MetaMask account, because once I use the MetaMask account, the balance will be gone. Okay, so here I have created an account and I have imported, and that's what I'm going to use it. So I have a couple of meta in this, so I will simply copy the address, come back here and paste. So this is the private key and test account we have used. So that looks pretty good so far. Now come here, we have to simply do one thing. We have to take this provider, and now we have to build the provider so we can communicate with the blockchain and we can send the transaction. So we're going to use this particular library. So we'll come here, we'll take a variable called provider, we'll use new Ether. So we already have the Ether package, and that package we're going to connect into our HTML document. In that way, the entire Ether library will be available into our global object, and from there we can easily able to access. So that's what I'm doing here. We have the entire library as a global object. Once we connect the library in our HTML, and from there we can have it. So we have this new Ether, we'll call this provider, and in that we have to pass this Here you have a couple of methods. You have the JSON RPC batch provider, JSON RPC provider, JSON RPC signer. So you can use any one of it, but I'm going to use the most regular one, JSON RPC provider. In that we have to pass the provider URL. So we already have this URL. Remove this. I don't know where it come from. Now I have to pass the provider URL. Simply copy this one and paste here. So in this way, we'll have the access of our provider and we are connected with the blockchain network, which is a Polygon. Looks good to me so far. Now come here. We'll take a variable. We'll create the wallet. So, okay. So we have to create the wallet so we can take the transaction. So we'll take this wallet and we can do that very easily. So we're going to call this Ether package. So we'll say new Ether.wallet, and in that we have to pass two data. We have to pass the private key of the wallet we want to use. We have to use the private key and the provider, and we have to use the private key and the provider. So if you want to use any account, all you have to do is to pass the private key in that particular field and you are connected with this particular address account. So let's pass the address, private key of the wallet, and we have to pass the provider. So let's remove this. We'll call it, okay, this is the private key I have taken, but this private key I'm going to take it from as a global, not from a local one, because user will connect it and this data will be updated in our global field, and from there we have to update, not as a fixed data. So this is the one I'm going to take it and paste here, and we have to pass the provider. So this true data I have taken as a reference, so you can test it locally, but we are getting this private key variable from the global object, and that's what we have here. Now let's comment this out, okay, because we already have a provider URL and we can go with that for the time being. So that's the private key and the provider we have. So we got the wallet connected. Now what we have to do is we have to take a variable called transaction, and in that we have to set the variables. So we'll say we have to build an object. So we'll say tx, and let's build an object. First is the address where we want to transfer, and the second is going to be the value we want to transfer. Is going to be the ether.utils.parse ether, and that we have to pass the amount because this transaction is going to be happen in terms of ways. So that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, so that's the amount and that's the address we are passing. So once the transaction is getting complete, we have to do a couple of things. So first we'll take a little bit variable. So we'll say anchor. So once the transaction will complete, we have to display that see the transaction message. So user can click on the button and we'll take them to the Polygon scan or any other scan so they can verify their transaction. So we're going to target that. We'll say document.getElement by ID, and we have to target the ID. We'll link. So we have the element. Now we have to pass the URL, and this URL we're going to populate dynamically, not hard coded. So we'll say href, and we have to simply build that. So by default we're going to say some link URL. Okay, this is the default value. Now we're going to take this wallet because in that we have the entire object. So from there we can easily able to send the transaction. So this method is available in our wallet object. So you can simply log it and you can check the entire object that what are the methods are available on the wallet. But we're going to go with this send transaction because we have to transfer the fund. In that we have to send this transaction object, and then we have to wait for the response because it will respond. It will give us the promise back. So we have to resolve those promise. So we'll say then, and we'll say transaction object, and in that we have to simply, that's pretty easy. Let's wrap this one in bracket so we'll have no issues. Let's bring this down. Now we can target the console.log so you can be able to see the entire transaction object. So we'll say ts hash, and in that we'll pass the transaction object. Looks good, and the hash, pretty good. Now come down here, we'll target the document.getElement by ID, and in that we have to get the ID. So we'll say transfer center, and we have to simply change the style to display. That's equal to going to be none. So we have to hide our transaction loader. So once we hide that one, we have to simply update the data. So what we can do is we can come here, we'll say const anchor leg and document get element. Just remove this one, and we'll say document.getElement by ID, and we have to get the ID, which is a link, and Now we'll take this document.getElementById and we have to target the link and we have to simply say style display equal to block. Pretty good. So our link will display and that would be fine. So you can see this is the first, we are setting our loader, then we are getting our variables, the data. This is the test data we have. Now we have the provider. Here we are building the connection with the wallet, then the transaction object, and this is the entire data we are displaying. So far so good. Hope everything is making sense to all of you guys. So that's the only thing you have to do in this handler function. You can close that one, and I want you to come and have a look one more time, try to understand that what we have done. And here we can see that we have imported this ether package, but we are not going to use it. Simply remove this one. Looks pretty good. Now we can start working on the next function, check balance. So let's come here. We'll target this const provider and we have to call the ether package. In that we have to call the provider and then we have to simply pass our URL. So here we have the provider. Now we'll come down here and we're going to take this provider dot get balance, the method we are available in this, and we have to pass the address. So we'll have the balance and then we have to simply resolve the promise because it will return. So we'll say balance and we'll take the address from the input. So this function we're going to call into our my function. So this function will run internally. All we have to do is to pass the address and it will give us the balance of this particular address. So here we have to do a couple of things. So first we're going to do is we're going to take a variable called balance and in eth, and we're going to target the ethers dot utils dot, and we have to convert it. So form mat ether, and in that we have to pass the balance. So this will be a convertible. Now we can come here, we'll take this document dot get element by id and we have to display the balance. We'll target the account balance, and once we target that we have to simply change that inner HTML equal to the balance. Take a template tutorial and in that we have to pass the balance in eth. So that's how we can display, and you can, I'm just hard coding this data, but you can make it dynamic, but I'll go with the polygon. So that's the data we are updating. Looks pretty good to me and pretty good. Let's give a command. Now let's target this document dot get element by id, and now we have to target that to this user address, and we'll say inner HTML is going to be the user address. Okay, so it will display the address and we have to slice it down because the address is pretty huge. So we'll display only 15 characters. So that's the entire check balance function. Pretty simple, not that complicated. So far so good. Now close this one. Now we can start working on the next function, get open network. So this function will open the network model. Okay, say open and close, that's what it will do. So what we'll do is we're going to target that. So we'll say document dot get element by id, and that we have to target the network, and it will say style dot display is going to be block because by default it will be none. So that's the only thing it will do. It will open the network element. Close this one, come here, and looks pretty good. Now we have to work on the second function, get selected network. So in that we're going to take the event. So when someone will click on the selected network, we have to trigger the event, and on the base of that selected network we have to set our provider. So that's the logic we have here. So we'll take a variable called element and we'll say document dot get element by id, and we have to select that particular element. So we'll say selected network. So once we have the element, then we have to get this element inner HTML and we have to update. So we'll say element dot target inner HTML. What we are doing here, we are taking the selected network and we are displaying its name in our UI component. So that's what we are doing here. Now come back here, we'll say if element dot target inner HTML is equal to our Ethereum provider, means someone select the Ethereum mainnet, then we have to set the string of our RPC URL to the Ethereum. So that's what we're going to do here. So we'll take this provider and we're going to simply provide the URL of our Ethereum. So to get that, all you have to do is come here in the Acme and type here, not in that, come here in the browser and type rpc anchor, ANKR, anchor polygon. Hit enter, and here you will find all the RPC URL for the different blockchain network. So you can see here we are in the Polygon, and I'm going to select this particular mainnet, select this one, copy this one, and come back. And here we are focusing on the Ethereum, but I copied on Polygon. So what I will do, I'll come back here in Alchemy, and here we have that, close this one, and here we have the project Ethereum mainnet, click on that, and from here I'm going to get the string and paste here. So this one is for the Ethereum mainnet, and this is the exact thing I have to do for all the different network. So we'll say else if, we'll say e.target.inner HTML is equal, so this time it's equal to Polygon. One is the Polygon, so let's come back here, and from here we can get it, copy this one, this is the mainnet, and that's what we have to pass it here. So here you can see Polygon mainnet is that. Now we have to do for the Mumbai, so we'll say Mumbai, and well, simply this is the Mumbai we have already copied, and that's what we have to simply paste here. Okay, this is for the Mumbai. Now copy this one and paste here, and the next network we have is Gorilla. So what I will do is simply change this text to Gorilla, so GOERILA, and this will be the test network. And now we have to get this, so we can come back here in the, let's say we can come back to the browser. Here we are, and now we have to search for the Gorilla. So we'll say Gorilla, hit enter, click on this this link, and here we'll have all the networks. So we'll have mainnet, testnet, Gorilla, Sofali. So we'll select this one, Gorilla, copy, and that's what we have to paste here. Simply replace the string. And now we have the last one, simply copy and paste here, and this will be our Sofali network. So POLIA, Sofali test network, and we have to simply change that. So click on this, get the string, and replace it here. So that's the entire provider. You can use anyone. Looks pretty good. Okay, now what we have to do is, once someone will select the network, we have to close the drop down model. So that's what we have to hide it. So we'll say document dot get element by ID, and we have to get this components. We'll say network, and we have to say style dot display equal to none, and that's the same thing we have to do in all of this. So simply copy and paste here, and paste here. Pretty good. So save it, and at the end we're going to simply console log out the provider URL. So we'll say provider URL. So that's the entire function we have written for selected network. Okay, for different, but primarily we are focusing on the Polygon. So that's the entire function we have here. Close this one, and looks pretty good. And now we have to work on this set network. So let's write the function. So first we have to target the element. So get element by ID. This is the ID we have going to assign. So we'll say network, we'll say set style display is going to be none. So this will close that one, and now work on the login user. So what we'll do is we'll open this one, we'll target the element, we'll say document dot get element by ID. So we have to get the created account, and in that what we have to do is we have to change the style to display. We'll say none. So select that, paste here, and we have to change the ID to this login user, and we're going to simply say block. So we're going to close this one, create account, and we have to open this component. Looks pretty good. Now we have to come here, we have to simply do one thing, copy this entire one, because that's what we're going to follow here, and here we have to change this to block, and this will be the none. So in that way user can switch from login user to create account. Now looks pretty good, and grab this one, and that's the same thing we have to do here. What we can do is let's change this to none, and this will be the block, and here we have to change the ID to create pop-up. Okay, looks pretty good. Now grab this one, we have already taken that one, to come back to the sign up, and this one is going to be pretty huge one. So what we have to do is come back here. We have to take a variable because we need the data from the user input, so we can pass and create their account and make an API request. So we'll target this sign up name, and it will come from the value from the input field. Simply copy and replicate a couple of times. Change this one is going to be the email. This will be the email as well, will be the password, and this will be the password. This one going to be called password confirm. You can add as many input field. This is the basic structure which I'm following. This will be the password confirm. So we have this 3 input field data from the user, and now what we have to do is we can simply come down here. We can target the element. We'll say document get element by ID, and we have to target this field. So first thing, once the user provide all of this data, we have to hide our form component. So we'll say style.display is equal to none, because we're going to make an API request along with that. So here we're going to display our loader. So we'll say center, and we'll say block. So this is the loader will display. So that looks pretty good. Come back here, and we're going to take a variable called wallet, and here we're going to generate the wallet, the address, and the private key, and the mnemonic. So all these 3 data we're going to create when the user will try to create his account. So we'll take this ether.wallet, and we'll call this particular method which is available create random, and this will generate the Ethereum account for them. Here we have to check if wallet dot address is there, then we have to do and make an API request, all the logics. So inside that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's console log out the entire wallet object. In that you can able to have a look that what are the objects is available to you and how you can store the data, or you can simply ignore. It's totally up to you. So that's the data we're going to object, and here we're going to make an API call because we're going to store all of this data into our database. So you have two options. You can allow them to call the function which can store the information in the smart contract. No, it's not possible, because like to call the smart contract they need to have a wallet. So it's better to store the information in the database, and make sure that your database is 100% secure, because this private key is very important. If you look at the architecture of MetaMask, they're keeping your private key very securely. So that's the exact logic you have to follow. So you can do one thing, you can encrypt the private key in the database so no one can have it. You can encrypt the private key and store in the database. That's the one thing you can do, and that's what I'm going to do in the API section, where we're going to encrypt the password of the user. So just follow along with me. Here we have to build the API call. So first we need to take this variable. We'll take this URL. So this is the endpoint we're going to build. So HTTP, and it's going to be connected to the localhost 3000. On that our API is going to be run, and this is the resource location. So API/v1 user, and we'll call this sign up. So this is the endpoint for creating user into our MetaMask. So that's the API endpoint, and now we have to simply take the data. So the data we want to send in our API is the name and email, and we have the password, and then we have the password confirm, then we have the address of the user, the newly address created, which is available in the wallet address. Then we'll take the private key. Make sure to give the exact name which I'm giving here, because when we're going to build our backend model and we're going to take the data from the user, this is the exact data we're going to provide it. So we'll have the wallet private key, and we have this mnemonic, and which is also available in this wallet dot mnemonic phrase. We have this available. Looks pretty good. So far so good. We have the entire data which we want to send into our model. Looks pretty good. Now we can simply come here. So what we have done, we have taken this, done this. This is the wallet we have created, and then we are taking the data into our data fields. And now we have to simply make a request to the API. So we're going to call it with the help of Axios. You can use it any other, but fetch is a very simple one, so I'll use that. So we'll call it pass the URL, and in that we have to pass the header. So we'll pass this method to post, because obviously we have to send data in our backend. Then we have to set the header. So in the header we have to set the content type. So it will be our content type, and it's going to be application JSON. So that's the content type, because we are sending the data in a JSON format. So that's the handler we have. Now we have to send the data in the body. So we'll say JSON stringify, and we have to pass the data in that. Looks pretty good. And once it will be successfully send the data, or it will fail, it will send us response back. So that's the response we have to catch. We'll say then response, and say response, and we have to simply convert that response to a JSON so we can read it. And on that we have to call this then, because it will return a promise. We'll say result, and in this result we'll have all the data which we're going to send back to the user after a successful account creation. So here we have to format the data. So what we have to do is we have tagged this document.get element by ID, and we'll call this, let's say we'll can call that one. So we'll say something like what ID we have targeted, create address. We'll say inner HTML, and we have to display the address of the user is created. Simply replicate it, and here we have to simply update all of the data. So this will be the address, this will be the private key, because we have to display this back to the user. We'll say private key, and this will be the, let's target that one to mnemonic. Phrase. This will be our center, means we have to change the styling, we have to hide our loader. So we'll say style dot display to be none. Simply copy this one and change this to, and now we have to simply target. So we'll say block, and this will be the account data, and here we have to change the ID to sign up, and this will be the none. So that's the entire thing we have to do in the successful account creation. Looks pretty good. So that looks good. Come back here. Now we have to take a variable called user wallet, because this data we are getting, we have to store into our local host. So from there we can easily able to verify and fetch the information, and we can display in our MetaMask that which account is connected with the MetaMask, what are the balance, everything and all. So let's build that object which we want to store in our local host. So we'll say user wallet address is gonna be the wallet address. Then we have to get the private key, and the private key is also available there in the wallet private key. Then we have to get the mnemonic. This one is optional, but you can keep it, so I'll keep it like it, and we can display this one. You can store as many information as you want, it's totally up to you, but I'm going to go with this 3-1 because these are the most important one. Now we have to take a variable called JSON object, and we have to convert this into a JSON format so we can store it. So we'll call it stringify, and we're going to pass our entire user wallet. So looks pretty good. Now we have to call this particular method local storage dot set item. We have to give the name, so make sure to give whatever name you want, because this is the name we're going to use to put data or fetch data. So we'll call it user wallet, and we have to send the entire JSON object. So in this way the data is available into our local storage. And now we have to call this document.get element by ID, and we have to go to the home page after everything's happened, and in that we're going to simply say display block. So we have to open the home page. So what will happen that when this function will get called, everything is get done, then it will set the data in our local state, then it's going to go back to the home page. So looks good. And now we have to simply reload the browser, so everything will start from fresh. Pretty good. So that looks pretty good to me. Now you can see it's a pretty huge function for sign up. We are calling this, then we are creating the wallet, then passing the data to the API. We are converting that, then we are resolving the response, setting the data into our components, then we are using this to store the data into our localhost, and then reloading the browse. Now what we can do, we have to catch if anything goes wrong. So we'll say catch method, and that is available very easily. In that we have the error, and we're going to simply console log out the entire error. Provide this one. So it looks pretty good. This is the entire sign up function we have. Pretty good. No issues we have so far. Hope you guys have followed what I have done. Now we can start working on the other function, which is a login one. So far things are pretty good. Let's open this one. Let's target the element document.get element by id. So we have to target the login form, and we have to simply display none. Copy that one, paste here, and this will be the center. We have to open the loader. Then we have to call this const email. We have to get the data from the input field. We need the email and the id, email and the password. So we'll get the value, copy that one and paste here. This will be the password, and this will be the password. Come back here. We have to make a call to our API. So we'll say URL. This is the endpoint we're going to use it. So we'll say HTTP local host. This is the resource location v1 version 1 user and login. So this is the method, the endpoint we're going to create. Now we have to build the data we want to send. So we have to send the email and the password so we can verify that user. So that's the data we have. Now we have to build all the methods. So we'll have to pass the URL, then we have to set the header. So the method we're going to call is the post one. After that we have to send the header. So we have to define the content type. The same thing we have to do, content type, and it's going to be the application JSON /JSON. Now we have to send the body and the data we have to convert it into a stringify, then pass the data. It looks pretty good. So this is the method, and now we have to resolve the promises, the response back. So we'll take that, we'll say this response.json, then we're going to call on then, and we'll say result, and we're gonna simply do one thing. So we're going to simply console log out the entire result. You can able to have a look, and we're going to define what data we want to send back to the user when we'll work on the API section. So we'll take a variable called user wallet, because we need to store the user object in the local storage so we can make our MetaMask functionable, because it's going to fetch the data from the local storage, and on the base of that it will fetch the function. It's going to fetch the user whether he connected or not. That's the object we have to set. So we're going to take this. So we'll take the address which is already there in the result, and this is what we're going to send back as a response. So we have this address, then we have the private key which is there in the result, data.user.private key. Then we have our mnemonic, and that's there. That's a very basic one. Okay, so this is the object we have. Now we can come down here, we can simply take this and convert it into a JSON. So we'll say JSON stringify, and we have to take this user wallet, and then we have to call the local storage, and we have to set the data into a local storage. So we'll say user wallet, and we have to give the object the data JSON object. So this will set the data, and we have to reload the browser at the end. Means that's a successful login for the user. And here we have to catch an error. So if anything goes wrong, so we have to catch. So we'll simply console log out the entire object. And by the way, if you want to master API development, then I want to tell you, take this particular course. In that I've explained every single thing which you have to know to become an API developer, how to set an environment, how to manage different type of error, production error and development error created by user or error created by code. Everything is explained. So after this, make sure to take this particular course, API development. It's a 13-hour course. It will teach you every single thing about the backend development. We have set all of the things, and that's pretty much for our login function. So we are getting the variable, passing this, and setting all the data into our local storage. Close this one. Now we have to work on the logout, and that's a fairly easy function we have to work on. All we have to do is to remove the data from the local storage. So we'll target this. Let's say local dot remove item, and we have to pass the key pair. So user wallet, and this will allow user to log out from the application. After it's removed, we have to simply reload the browser, and that's it. That's the logout function. Pretty simple. Okay, now we have to work on the open transfer. So this one is also pretty easy one. So we'll say document.get element by id. We have to take the element transfer form. We'll say style.display equal to be block, and it will open that. And now we have to simply close the other open components. We'll say home page, this will be the none. Okay, so it will open the transfer component and it will close the home component. So that looks pretty good. Copy that one, and what we can do is come back here in the go back function. Here we have to change this to simply none, and this will be the block. Okay, this is the go back function. Now that looks pretty good, and this is the open import. Simply open this one, and here we have to change the ID. So we'll say import token, and this will be the same. It will open the component, it will close the home component. And now we have to come back here and paste here, and this time we have to simply change this to import token, and this will be the token none, and this will be the block. Okay, so far so good. Now that's the import one. Let's open this activity one, and here we have to target the activity component, and we have to open it, and this will be the asset. So far good. Now this one is open asset, and paste here. Here we have to target this, make this to none, and this will be the block for opening the component. Everything will make sense, just follow along with me. We have just written this function to open different component and closing different component. That's a fairly simple functions we are building here. So that looks good. Come here and paste here, and this will be called create pop-up, and here we have to call home page. So this will be none, and this will be block. Close this one, and what else? Close this one, and come back to the here import model, and this will be our, let's say, import account, and this will be the home one. So it's going to be same. Copy this one and paste here. So that looks good. Open import model is done. Now we have to work on the close import model. So for that we have to open this one and paste here, and here we have to change the ID. So this will be the none, and this will be the block. That's one, because okay, because we don't need to change the ID, we have to simply open and close it. Looks good. So that's the one we have. Now we have to work on the add, and this one is going to be a quite big one because we have to make an API request, we have to get the data from the user. So let's work on it. So first we have to take a variable called address, and we have to get the data from the user. So get element by ID, this will call token address. We have to get the value. Simply copy that one, and we need 3 value data. So we need the name, this will say name, this will be the symbol. So we have all of these 3 data. Come here, we have to make an API call because we have to store this data into our backend server. Let's build the URL. So this is the endpoint we're going to build in our API section. We'll say 3000 API / v1, and this is the token resource we have. And then we're going to simply call this create token. Then we have to take this data, because these are the data we have to send. Name, so we have to send the address and the symbol. Come here, here we have to build the fetch request method. So we'll pass the URL, and we have to set the header. This is the post method. Then build the header, and then we have to set the content type. The same thing we have to do here. So it's application /JSON, and here we have to send the body, the data. So we'll say stringify and stringify, and we'll pass the data. And now we have to receive the response. So we'll say then response.jsons. It will return a callback function. It will result and will return a callback function. And here we can simply log out the response, the result the user got, and after a successful that, we have to simply reload the browser, pretty much. And then we have to catch if anything goes wrong. You can display a notification, but I just want to make it things simple. So in that way, the data will store in the backend and is going to fetch, and we're going to display and render that. So that's a very simple one. Calling this method, and we are simply checking that. So that's the add token function we have. Now let's call add account function. So this will allow the user to add their account to the MetaMask if they have an existing account. So we'll say private key, and this key will come from the input document.getElementById. by ID. We'll say add account private key, and we'll get this from value. So we have the private key. Now we have to take this const provider, so we can get this new ether provider, and we'll say JSON RPC, and then we have to pass the provider URL. So we got the provider. Now we can come back here and we'll say let's wallet. We need to get the wallet, and in that we have to pass the private key and the provider, so we can able to find the balance and address, all of the things. You can check that what other things are available in the wallet. Now we have to get the URL. So this is the endpoint we're going to build in our API section. So let's build it here. So it's going to be a local storage 3000, and the same instruction we are following here as well. So API/v1 version 1, and this is the resource location we have, account and create account. So this is the URL. Now we can come here. We'll say const data. We have to pass the data, private key, and because of the wallet we have the access of the address, wallet.address. These are the two things we have to keep, and then we have to simply call this fetch matches. We have to pass the URL. We have to set the header. So this one is the post one. Then we have to set the handler, and then we have to set the content type. Okay, application/JSON, and we can come here. We'll set the body. So it will be a JSON.stringify, and we have to pass the data. And then we have to receive the response. It will come in the form of promises, so we have to resolve that. So we'll say response. It takes a callback function. We're going to call this response.json. On that we have to call this then method, and we'll say result, and it's need a callback function. And in that what we have to do is we have to simply say console.log the entire result, and we can come here. We have to receive if anything goes wrong, and we will log out the entire error. So that looks pretty good. This is the entire function we have to write for add account. So you can see what we have done. We have taken the private key, then we have used the ether packages to get the address of that particular private wallet address, and then we are storing the information to our backend, the private key and the wallet address. So that's a fairly simple thing we have done here. Close this one. Now we have to work on one of the biggest function, my function, and this function will call when someone will open the extension, and we have to fetch all the information. So we have to fetch the information for our local storage, backend, all of things we have to do here. So first we have to do is we have to simply come up here. What we can do, we'll take a variable called star, and we have to get the information for our local storage. So we'll say get element by ID, and this is the key pair we have given, user wallet. So this will give us the data. Now we have to convert that data. So we'll say pass object. We'll use this JSON dot parse, and in that we have to pass this entire object. It will have the object. We'll say if pass object is dot address, means we have the address is available into our local storage, then we have to call this function. If the object is not there in the local storage, then we don't want to call it. So we'll say document.getElementById, by ID, and we have to simply say logging user dot style is going to be display none. So we have to hide the login user component, and we have to simply open the home component where he can able to find all the methods like balance, addresses, transfer, import, all of things, because he's already there and logged in, means logged in. Then we have to take this private key, and we have to set that to the global one. So this is the private key we have taken as a global object, global variable, and that's what we are updating here. We have to update the address as well as a global. Okay, and now we can come here. We have to take this particular check balance, and then we have to pass this user address so we can fetch the balance of his. So you can see this is the address we have taken, and that what will return the balance of the user. Now we can come here. We'll say const token render. So this will allow us to render the token. We're going to fetch the information from our backend, and we're going to render in our MetaMask. So we'll say document.get query selector, and we have to select the assets. Once we have that one, we're going to take this account render, and it's going to be the document.query selector, and it will say the account list. So these are the two components we are targeting, elements we are targeting based on the query selector. Now we have to do is, now we have to simply make a API call. So this is the endpoint we're going to call it. So come here, take a variable called URL, and this will be our HTTP and localhost 3000 API /v1 /token resource and all token. So this will give us all the token user have selected. Pass the URL and set the header. Okay, this is the basic convention we are following. So we'll say .then, and we'll take the response. It will take the callback function. We have to convert the data into a JSON format, and then we have to receive the response and get the data. So we'll have the data, and we'll simply say let element is equal to empty, because we have to render the HTML, and in that HTML the data would be there, like addresses will be there. So what we'll do, take this, we'll say data dot token, and we're going to simply loop over it. So we'll say map element like token, and here we have to build the HTML. So what I will do, I will take this div. What I can do is come here, bring this one, take a element plus concatenate, and in that we will write the entire HTML. So we'll take the div, it will have a class. We'll say asset item. Let's close this one div and open this one. We'll take this image, and in that I will display the icon. You can display whatever you want. We'll display our logo, and we'll say asset item image. It will also have a couple of properties. So it will have a source. So we have to take this particular source image /asset. Inside the assets folder we have all the images, and from there we are getting this blockchain coders.png. So this is the image I'm getting. If you come back here in the assets, this is the image you will have, and that's how we can access. So we have that image. Now we have to set the alt tag. It's going to be an empty. So this is the image. Now we can come here. We'll take a spam, and I'm gonna simply close that one. And inside that we have to display, close the span, and in that we have to simply display the address. So we'll say token dot address, and we have to slice it down to, let's say, 15. So we can display the user address. Now we have to display the other data. So like we can come here, and we have to take this. We'll say token dot symbol. So the token symbol, you can define tons of data. So that's the only thing we have to do. Now we can come here, and now we have to simply render the HTML, and that's how we can do it. So that's pretty simple. Okay, so this is how we can dynamically generate the HTML element and render in our component. Now we have to simply catch if anything goes wrong. So we'll have this, we'll say console.log error, and this is the entire fetch request we are making and rendering the data dynamically. Hope things are making sense to all of you guys, and you guys have got what we have done here. Now we can come here, and now we can build the second API request. So let's call fetch, pass the URL here. So this is the endpoint we're going to call it, localhost /3000 API /v1 /account /all accounts. So first we have taken all the token. Now this is the accounts. We'll say then response is take a callback function called response.json. On that we have to call this then method. So we have to resolve the promises. We'll say data, it will take a callback function. In that we have to do the same thing we have done above. So we'll take a variable as accounts. In that we'll take this data dot map dot accounts, and we'll take this map. In that we'll say, let's say account and index, it will take this callback function, and looks pretty good to me. Now come here, and that we have to take this our the element we have created, and now we have to simply concatenate, and we have to build the HTML. Pretty simple. We'll take a div. Again, we have to close the div. Let's assign a class. We'll say list. In that we have to take a p tag and we have to close it. Inside that we have to display the data. So the data would be, we have inside this element I, so the number of the account is 1, and now we have the second data, which is actually the account. So we'll have a class called account value, and we'll have an ID, because when someone will click on this account, we have to get this data attribute and we have to change that. So that's why we are assigned this data address, and in that we have to pass the address of the account. That looks good. And here we have this data dot private key, and we have to pass the private key as well in the data attribute. So we'll say private key. Inside that we have to display the address of the user, and we have to slice it down to 25 characters. Pretty good, pretty simple. So we are build the HTML. Now we have to simply render the component. So here you can see it's accounts, and here it's an accounts, and provide this, and that looks pretty good. Now we have to simply render it. We'll say account render HTML, and we have to pass the accounts. That's it. And then we have to catch if anything goes wrong. That's a fairly simple thing. We'll console log out the error. So that's how we are fetching the data and rendering in our MetaMask. Okay, API calls building the HTML, then again API calls building the HTML, and then rendering it. Looks good. So far things are looking pretty good. We have no issues. And then we have to simply console log out the entire private key. So this will show that user is logged in. So let's close this one. So this is the entire function we have, and now we have to work on the last two function. And I want to call this function straight away whenever someone open the MetaMask. So this is how we can call it, window.onload, and we have to give the name of the function. So my function, I want to call it. Work on the copy address. It's fairly simple. We'll use navigator.clipboard, and we have to simply write text, and we have to pass the address. So that's the first, and this is the last function which allow us to change the account. So we'll do one thing. We'll take this variable called data, and it's coming from document.query selector, and we have to select this based on the account value. Then we have to take this address, and this will be the data attribute, and we have to get this particular one. So we'll say data attribute, so it will give us the address. Then we have to get the private key, and we'll say data.get attribute, and this is the attribute we have assigned, data/private key. So we have the private key and the address. Then we have to simply console log out both the thing if you really want to check. That's what we're going to do it. So that's the entire logic. We got the address and the private key. Now we have to simply change that. So what we're going to do, we will take a variable called user wallet, and we have to change our local storage data. So we'll say address is going to be the address, private key is going to be private key, and we'll change this normally to message.call changed, means user have changed their account. Okay, now we can come here. We'll say const JSON object, and we have to simply update our local storage. So we'll pass the data. Then we have to call this local storage dot set items, and we'll take this keep, and we'll pass the value. So this will update the local storage, and now we have to reload the window, so it will fetch the information as per the data, the account the user have taken. So that's how a change account function works. So pretty good. We have written so many things. You can see this is the entire one. We have all the documents, all the elements we have targeted, and we have attached all of these functions. That's pretty huge, and this one is the biggest part of this project. Okay, that looks pretty good. All of this state variable, this is the function, check balance, selected network, set network, login user, create user, open, create, sign up, login, log out, transfer, go back, open, import, go back. So many things we have, activities, all of the things we have here. Okay, my function, copy and change account. Looks pretty good to me. Close this one, and that's the only thing we're going to cover in this video. That's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have got an idea, and whatever logic we have implemented, or whatever function we have built in, you guys have understood that how we have written all the functions. And I hope you guys have got the starter file and you have coded along with me. If you have stuck anywhere, or if you want to take the final code, you can definitely come and take it to compare it. Okay, in the next video we're going to start working on the API, so let's move to that. You guys are great. Welcome back once again in this particular MetaMask clone project. In the last video we have written all the functionality in our pop-up page, how to create account, how to call the API, everything we have done in the last video. If you haven't watched the last video, make sure to watch it, because that video is the most important part, because that's there we have built all the logic to make our MetaMask work. In this video we're going to work on the API section. We're going to build the API, the backend part of our MetaMask for storing the private key and the data. So this one is also very important. So this is where we left in the last video. Hope you guys have followed that. So this is all the document we have targeted. This is the provider, all of these things we have here: handler function, check balance, get open network, get selected network, set network, logging user, create user, open, create, sign up, login. This is the endpoint we have built, log out, functions, go back, open, import, import back, open activity, open assets, go home page, open, import, add account, my functions, copy address, change account. So all of this function we have built in the last video. Hope you guys haven't forgot that. And this is the data we have. I'm just removed this one because I was testing for something else, but that's not relevant. This is what you have covered in the last video. Okay, looks good. And now I will close this one, and now we're going to start working on the API section. So here we have the API folder. In that you will have all of this data. API, inside that you will have this 3 folder: contract, control. Then we have the model. In that we have all these 3 model. Then we have the router. In that we have this 3 different router. So first we're going to start working with the routers, then model, then controller. Then we're going to work on the app, then we're going to work on the server. So click on this. Let's start working on the account router. And this one is going to be a very simple one. We have to write very few code in here. So we'll take the variable called express. We have to import that. Then we have to import our auth controller. So for the time being, just build the router. Later we're going to attach all the functions. Build all the functions. So this is coming for auth controller. Now we have to take the router. This is coming from express router, and now we have to simply build the router. So we're going to have the get method on this particular endpoint. So this is the endpoint we have built all account. I hope you guys have watched the last video. So this is what we're going to call on this particular function, and it will give us all the account we have in our database. Now we're going to call this post methods for create, and this is the function we're going to call it, and this is the endpoint we have, and these are the 2 endpoints we need in our account router. So simply export the router, and that's it. So that's the simple account router we have built. So we have express, auth controller, then we have the author, and these are the 2 endpoints we have built for getting all accounts and for creating account. So let's close this one. Now we have to work on the token router. Click on that, close this one, and click on token router. And here we have to also build 2 endpoints. So we have to do the exact thing. We need express, and we need our auth controller. We need to construct the router, which is coming from express.router. And now we have to build the endpoint. So let's build it. We'll call it get method, and this will allow us to get all the tokens which are there in our database. And then we have to have a post method, so we can post the token in our database, and then simply export the router. And that's the only thing we have to write here. It's quite similar like the last one. We have to build these 2 functions endpoint. Okay, we're importing, close this one, come here. Now we have to work on the user router. Click on this, press, then we have to take the auth controller. When we'll take the express router, And then we have to build the endpoint. So first one is going to be the post one, because user will make a request, so it will be a sign up. And the next one is going to be the login, and it's also a post request. We'll say login, and then we have to simply export the router. So that's a fairly simple one. Looks pretty good to me. No issues we have so far, and looks pretty good. We have built this two endpoints with two function method, which is coming from auth control, and looks pretty good. Come here. So we are done with this router. Hope you guys have followed me. Now close this one, and now we have to work on the model. And again, I'm telling you that if you have any confusion, if you want to learn more about the API development, make sure to check this particular project. It's a 13-hour project. In that we have built the complete full-fledged API, which has more features. So once you build this particular project, it will give you amazing idea. If you teach you every single thing about the security, data modeling, manipulating the data in the API backend, everything will be explained completely. Okay, so make sure after this project, take that particular API course. This will teach you everything. That one is the most advanced version you can follow. Now we can follow on the model. So first we have to work on the account model. Click on that. And this one is also very simple one, because that's what we are using. We have mongoose. We'll come here, we'll create a mongoose schema, and this is the method we have. And this is two information we want to take, the private key and the address. And that's the only thing we have to do. We have to simply export that one, account and account schema, and we have to simply export the module, and that's pretty much. And that's the only thing we have to do to create a account model. Okay, fairly simple one. We are taking only these two data. Come here. Now we have to work on the token model. Close this, open the token model. To take three data from the user. So let's import the mongoose. Then we have to build the schema. We'll say token schema, new mongoose schema, and we'll take the name of the token, we'll take the address, and we'll take the symbol. So these are the three data we are taking from the user. And now we have to simply export the schema. So we'll say model.export token. So that's the only thing we have to take in the model. Looks pretty good. Okay, so far so good. Not a huge thing we have done here. Now come here. Now we have to work on the user model. Close this one, and user model is going to be the biggest one, because we have to do the password check, then we have to hash the password. So this one is going to be the longer one. And if you want to know about the API authentication and development, make sure to check that course as well. Click on that. So the same thing we have to do here. We have to import the mongoose. Then we have to take the schema model, and this is the package we are using because we have to encrypt the password and we have to store the encrypted password in our database. So we need this package. Let's build the schema, new mongoose schema, and this is the field we want. We want the name of the user. It's gonna type string, and it's a required field, and this is the error message. So this is the thing I've covered tons of times in my previous project, so I'm going to go a little faster here. So this one is the type string, and this is also the required field, and we'll make it unique. So every single unique email ID will be unique, and we have to convert it into a lowercase. Then we have to take the password from the user. Type is going to be a string. Required true, please provide your password. Then we'll take this password confirm. Type string, required field, and this is the error message we have. Then we'll close that one, and then we'll take this validator. So this validator will only run at the time of password creation, account creation, not at the time of password change. So we'll simply validate the password with actual password is given, and this is how we can access with this keyword. And close this one, and we'll throw this error message if the password is not matched. Now we can come here. We have to store the address of the wallet. Then we have to store the private key of the user, and this is the mnemonic we have as a string. So make sure to have to give the exact spelling, because this is the exact spelling we have called in our APIs. If you mismatch the key pairs and the value pair, is not going to work. Looks pretty good. And now we have to build the methods, because creating user is not simple as it is, because we are encrypting the password, so we have to verify the password, all of the things we have to do. So let's build the method. So we'll call this user schema model, and that we have to call this pre-hook. We'll call the save. Again, I'm not going to get into details because I have already done that in the 30-hour course. So if you want to know more about it, you can follow that, but I'm going to use it very quickly here. We'll call this async function, and that we have to get this. Then we'll first only run this function if password was actually modified. So if the password is modified, then we have to call this function. We'll say if this not modified, then we have to return this, and we'll say has password cost 12, and we are using 12 because we have to encrypt the password. And it's always great idea that you have to encrypt the password and then store. Don't store the password as it is. If someone hack your database, they can have the access of the password and the email. So it's always better to encrypt that. So that's what we have to do. Then we have to delete the confirm password because that's not we want to store in our database. So we'll say undefined, and then we'll call the next middleware. So this is the first method we have created. Now come here, we have to call this pre. Again, it will run at the time of save, and we'll say if modify the password is new, then we have to return. Otherwise, we have to take this password change at, and we have to change the date and set that in our database. So that's that one. Now we have to take this user schema pre-hook, and this will allow us to find out. So we'll say this point to the current query. So whatever query user are making in the API, we are doing this. So we'll say this dot find, and we'll say this active to false. So we have to display only those user are active. Means what will happen, that the way I have explained in the NFT marketplace API course, in that you can set the user active or deactive. So if user delete his account, we are just setting their active state to deactive in the database, but we are not actually deleting his data. So here we want to take those data which has an active, not deleted. So that's what I am doing exactly. Then call this next middleware. Now we can come here, we'll take this schema model, and we're going to build this current password method, and this will allow us to verify the password which is user is providing and the password we are getting from the database. So we'll call this candidate password, then we'll say user password, and we'll return this await bcrypt because this is the package we'll use to compare the password, because the password we have in the database, it's a encrypted form. Encrypted, and the password we are getting from the user, it's a normal password, so we have to match it, and that's how we can do it with the help of this package. So we'll call this user schema method, then we have to call this change password. So this will allow us to change whether the user have changed the password or not. We just build the function, and in that we have to do the check. So the timestamp, we have to pass the time. So we'll say this dot pass so change get time, and we have this. Looks pretty good. Now we have to return this. So we'll check for the greater, and then we'll return this true or false. So by default, we'll set this to false. Looks good. Now we can come here, we'll say user model schema. So we have to simply export the model so we can utilize it. And that's the entire thing. I know this one is pretty huge and a lot of things are going on here. I went a little faster here because the same thing I have covered tons of time in the project. So if you're interested in the API development, make sure to check that. That will give you a broader understanding that what logic we have implemented. And there is a tons of method I have covered in that. This is the very simple, only 2% I have covered what I have covered in the API. So that looks pretty good. Now looks fine to me. Let me come here, simply scroll. You can find all the courses, all the topics we have covered. So let me scroll all the way down to show you where it is. So you can watch this particular project. In that I have used the basic API structure. This will also teach you. And if you come back here, let me show you the course which I was talking about. I got amazing response on the course, so I would want you to have a look. So this is the hacking which I was working. Just remove that one, come back here, and this is the one. Okay, you can see we have in 2 parts, 6 plus 6 hour 40 minutes, and this one is 6 hour 5 minutes. It's a pretty huge. It will teach you everything which you have to know. So I want you to come and have a look. This will teach you everything which you need to know about the API development. Okay, so come and watch this. You will understand everything after completing this course. So we are done with this model. Come back here. So we are done with the router, we are done with the model, and now we have to work on the controller and build the actual function. So come back here, close this one, come back in the controller, and let's start working on it. Things. So we need the JWP token. Now we have to take the user model. We have to take the token model. We have to take the account model. Then come down, we'll take this variable called sign token, and this sign token we are using to create the authentication. So whenever a user will create his account or login, we'll send the token back to the browser, and on the base of that token we're going to verify that. So we'll say return jwp.sing. In that we'll take the id, process.in, then we'll take the expiry, and this environment variable we are getting for config file. Okay, there we have set the jwpt secret and jwp expire, and that's the one. Now we have to come here, we have to create the send token, user status code require response. Then we'll take this token, we'll call the method sign token. In that we have to pass the id, and here we'll take this cookie and build the cookie. So we'll take this expiry and we'll pass the date dot now plus the process dot cookie expiry date. We have to convert into a seconds. Now we'll come here, we'll take this http only true, and we'll secure this one. So http header port is equal to https, so it will both work in the http and https. Now we have to remove the password from output, because that's not the ideal, that once someone create his account you have to display the password as an output. So remove that one to undefined, and we have to send the status to success and the token, and we have the data. So in the data we have to send the user data and close that one. So that's the entire function for create and send token. So hope so far things are making sense to all of you guys. Now come down here, let's work on the sign up form. So we have built the sign in, we have built the token, and now we have to simply work on the sign up. It's going to be an async. It will take this three data, request, response, and next. So this is the three variable we have access whenever someone will make a request on the sign up endpoint. Then we'll call this const new user, we'll say await, we have the model, and then we have to call the create method, and we have to pass the data. So we'll pass the name. So this is the exact name, the key pair we have defined in the model. So that's the one thing we have to call. We have the name, we have the email, and we have the password. We have the password confirm, we have the address, we have the private key, and the last one is the mnemonic. All this data we are getting from the request body, and that looks pretty fine. So this will create the user in our database. Now we'll call this create send token, and we have to pass the data, so it will send the token back to the user. So this is the sign up form, sign up function we have. Now we have to work on the login. In that we're going to take this 3, because this 3 data we have available. Well, simply come here, we'll say take this 2 data from the user input, then we have to simply check for some conditions. So we'll say check if email and password exist, means we have in the database. We'll call this email is there, password is there. If the user has not provided these 2 things in the input and it making a request, then we have to throw this error message. We'll say status 400, and we'll say status fail, and we have to send the message that please provide email and password. So that's the first check we are doing. Now we can come here, we'll take this check if user exists and password is correct, and this is going to be happen in our backend part. So we'll take this user await, we'll call our model, and we'll call this find by 1. So the only thing we have to match the user data with the user data which he providing is email. So we'll take the email and we want to match it. We'll say if user is not there, then we have to call this one. This is the method we have built in our user model, and that's what we are passing. So it will compare the password which user is providing and the password we have in the database, and then we have to simply send the response. So if stated is failed because the password and the database password is not matching, so we'll say incorrect email or password. Okay, so that's the check, second check we are doing. Now come back to the third one will say if everything okay, then we have to simply send the token and user can log in. We'll say create send token and we have to pass all of this data. So that's the login functionality. Pretty simple. Again, if you want to learn more about this, more advanced, then follow that API course. Now we can call this all token, and this one is a very simple one. It will return the entire tokens we have in the database. It will have this request and next. Then we'll call this token and we have the model. In that we have to call this find method and we have to send the response. So it will give us all the token. 200 means okay, status success, and we have to send the data to the tokens. So this is get all token we have. We'll come here, we'll take this add token, we'll provide this data, and then we'll say create token and we'll call the method, and then we have to call the create and we have to pass the data. So we'll say name, then we have to pass the address, and we have to pass the symbol, and once we're done with that, then we have to send the response back, because once the data is created in the database, it's 201 for the create. It will say success and we'll send the data back. So in the data we can send the created token, and that's it. Pretty simple. Now we can come here, we'll type the all account. So this will give us all the account which user have stored in the database. So we'll say async request respond next. We'll say const account await account find. Then we have to simply send the request and status is success, and this will return the all the addresses, and looks good. Then we have to build the create account function. We have the access of this data. Then we'll say account await account.create and we have to pass the data, private key, we have to pass the address, we have to pass the, that's it. Then we have to simply send the response back to the user. Pretty simple. Status 201 for create, and we'll say status success, and the data is going to be our account, and close this one. Looks good. And that's the entire function we have to write in our auth controller. So hope things are making sense. We have imported this, then we have built our sign token, then we have this create send token, then we have the sign up, then we have the login, then we have the all token, we have the add token, then we have all account, then we have create account, and that's pretty much. So far so good, no issue we have in the code. And again, come and watch this will give you a better idea about the API coding, and you can follow this project as well after this. So we have this one 6 hour long, you can follow this as well. Come back here, and we have done with this controller. Now we can done with the entire API folder. We have this model, we have the router, close this one, and now we can start working on app.js file. So this is the file we have to work. Click on the app.js file and let's import couple of packages and files. So we'll export the express, then we have to import the cross, and we have already installed all the packages at the start. Then we have to import the user router because we have to make a request. Then we have to import the token router, then we have to import the account router, and we have to build the middleware app express. Then we have to call this express.json so we can able to put the data into our database, otherwise it will not work. And here you can set the limit, so I will say 100 KB in every single request. 100 KB data I want them to upload. Then we have to build this cross, and we can set the options. So here you can define options, but I want this to be called in any domain, so that's why we are giving the star. Then we can come here, we'll take this router and let's build the router. So this is the endpoint we are building for user, this is the endpoint for tokens, and this one is the endpoint we have for the accounts down here. And we have to simply export the module app, so we can easily able to call this module in our server file. So it looks pretty good. So far everything's looking good. We have the packages, we have the models, we have the middleware, and the router and this app. Now come here, go to the, this is the closest one. Now we have this server config file. Let's start working on this. Okay, we have to configure this, and you can come and you can check all of these courses which I have explained here in detail how you can do it. So in that I have explained that how you can get your own database keys and password extensively in detail, so you can follow that. But let me show you. Click on this and I will type mongoose not validated, remove this one. Okay, MongoDB. Click on this, then you will come to this, and here you will find about this MongoDB everything in detail. So that looks pretty good to me. Now make sure to create your account. I have already done that, so I'm going to log in. You can simply do it by GitHub or Google. I'll click on Google because I have my account. So here you can see that I'm here back into my MongoDB server. I click on this create, and here you will have multiple options. You can serverless, and you can call a shared server. So some are free, some are paid, so you have to take it one. If you already want to go for a upgrade plan, then you have to pay money for that. But otherwise, but in this project we're going to take the free one. So you can see I have to go to the share, and it's free for cluster, and it's not going to create it, and it will not allow me to create because I already have a free cluster running on my application. So in your case you will have an option to create, find out all the informations. You can see it gives you the 512 MB of storage, but you can upgrade if you think you need. But let's click on this create cluster, and you have to do that as well. Create cluster, and you can see it's throwing me an error because I already have a free cluster. So that's a fairly easy process. All you have to do is to follow the process which they will ask you to do, and at the end it will ask you to create your username and password. So make sure to create the username and password and save it, because that's what we're going to use it in a project. And again, I link the video in which I have explained in the I button in the description, so you can follow that and you can know how to do that. So that looks pretty fine to me. I cannot create that one. So there is the message I'm getting. So what I will do is, once you will create your cluster, you will have your password and the username, and this is the exact interface you will get. And once you get that, you have to click on this browser. Here you will find all the data you will create in your API. As you can see, I have created these two resources, user and NFT, and here I have all of this data which I have created on my endpoints when I was testing this particular API. So now this is the user, and this is the one we have. Looks pretty good to me. Now I'll come back here, go back, and now we have to build the connection. So go back here. Here we have to come and we have to click on this connect, and we have to get the string for our database. So this is the one which you have to click. I have explained extensively all of these methods, all of these tools, so you can follow that. Click on this, and this is the one we need. Simply grab this one particular entire string. Okay, so this is what you have to do. You have to get your password string, all of that. Close this one, and now you are ready with the data. Okay, so make sure to come and have a look on this particular one. In that I have explained extensively. That's why I'm going a little faster here, because these going to be the same old repetitive thing which I don't want to do it. So make sure to do the exact configuration things. You have to paste your database string, and you have to paste your database password. Make sure to make the password keyword small, a capital, and you have to change the username with your username which you have provided in your database. Close this one, and now so here we are in the server file, and now let's start working on our server file and build all the logic connecting with the database. So we need to import the mongoose, then we have to import the don because we have to read our config file, then we have to provide the file path, then we have to take the app variable which is coming from the app file. Now we have to build the connection to our database. So process.env, and here we have this replace will password process.env, and the password we have to pass. So this is the string we have built. Again, I have covered this so many times, so I'm going a little faster, and you have to do the exact thing. If you want to know more deep about this, you can follow that. Then we'll take the mongoose and we have to do this connect, and we have to follow this. We have to provide this variable user create index true, and we have the user find and modify false. Close this one, and we have to take the response console log out that database connection successfully. Then we'll take the port initially by 3000. Then we're going to call this app.listen port, and it will have the console log that app running on port 3000, and we'll pass the port variable. Close this one. Looks pretty good. And that's the only thing we have to do here. Pretty simple. So we have taken the packages, then we have configured here, we have built the properties for the mongoose, and then we are simply running our application. That's very simple. And here you can see this is my .config file. So I hope you guys have followed and you have got your string and the passwords. So it looks fine to me here. And that's the only thing we have to do in our Chrome API. And that's the only thing you have to do for the API. So now what I can do is, let me start the application and let me show you. If you look at the packages and file, we have already installed the packages. If you haven't installed that, make sure to install. Get into the Chrome API file and install all these packages. I have that one. And this is the command we have to write. So now we have to run the command called start, because that will start our server. So first we have to get into our CD Chrome API folder, and now we have to run the start script. And you can see that our application is running fine. It's also database successfully connected, and the application is running on like 3000 port. Everything is working fine. So simply close this one, stop the application from running. So our API is working fine. You can see all the routers, everything's looking good. So I'm going to stop the API and simply check one more time. Things looks pretty good. This is the model, all the pages we have worked, and this is the entire controller. Close this one. This is the app.js, this is the server.js file, and this is the configuration. So this is what we have covered in this particular video, and I believe that you guys have got an idea that what are the things you have to do. We have built the entire API with functionality, router, model, controller, and we have also configured our .env file database. So things are pretty simple and clear to all of you guys. If you still have any confusion and doubt, do let me know in the comment section. In the next video, we're going to write the CSS for our UI part. We follow the utility class model. So we'll build the entire CSS, and all we have to do is to simply plug those CSS classes in the HTML file, and we'll have the styling. And this is what styling structure we follow when we use any libraries like Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap. So that's what we do in there, and that's the structure we can follow here as well. But instead of using the library, we're going to use our own custom class we're going to write in the next video. So let's move to that. Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video, we have worked on the entire API part of our. If you haven't watched, make sure to watch it. In that I have explained every single thing which you have to do, all the models, all the routers, all the controller function we have built. In this video, we're going to build the utility classes of our MetaMask clone. So that's what we're going to cover here. So here I'm into the project, and now we're going to start working on the CSS files right here. Okay, so let's call it body. We have to target the body, and we have to set the body width to 22 RAM. Then we have to target the margin 0 and padding 0. So this will remove the default styling to our element. Then we'll target this WebKit scroll bar, and we have to hide it, display none. Then we'll target the header component. We'll say header. It will be the display flex, gap 1 RAM, justify content space between, align item center, padding 0.5 RAM, 1 RAM. We'll target the header logo image. Width is going to be 40 pixels, height 40 pixels, border radius 0.5 RAM. We'll target the heading, text align center, margin 2 RAM, 2 EM, color RGB. We'll take the font size 1.2 EM. We'll take the header network P. Border is going to 1 pixel solid. Then we'll have the color. Then we'll have the font width to be bold. Padding 0.5 RAM, 1 RAM. Border radius 1 RAM. Display flex. align item center, justify content, space between, gap 0.3 RAM, cursor pointer. We'll take the network component. We'll say network, display none, position absolute, background color to our havoc this color. We'll have a width to 100% and right 0. Text align center. We'll target the network, add style, padding 1 RAM, 8 RAM, margin top 1 RAM. We'll target the network title, font size 1.3 RAM, border 1 pixel solid, RGB color. We'll have the network item, padding 0.5 RAM, 4 RAM, font size 0.9 RAM, display grid template column 1FR 3FR, cursor pointer, place content start, target the home screen. We'll say home screen sign up, margin 0 auto, background color our second primary, text align center, padding 2 RAM, display none. We'll come here, we'll target the home screen image, width 100 pixels, height 100 pixels, home title, color RGB. We'll take the font size 1.2 em, cursor pointer. We'll take the import account, connect wallet. We'll take the token, connect wallet. Will the transfer form, connect wallet. We'll take the create pop-up, connect wallet, and we'll take the home screen login, connect wallet. We'll take the home screen sign up, connect wallet, and we'll say padding to be 1 and 6 RAM, margin top 1 RAM. Come down, we'll target the home 1, home tab P, asset item span, list P. We'll take the account data P. We'll take the home header paragraph. We'll take the home screen login paragraph. We'll take the home screen sign up paragraph, and we have to set the background to be our image linear gradient, and we'll set this weight bound clip to text, and we'll say fill color to be transparent. Looks pretty good. Come here, target the home screen login. We'll say margin 0 auto, background color to be our second primary, text align center, padding 2 RAM, display block, create pop-up to margin 0 auto, background color to be our primary. Then we have the text align center. We'll have the padding 2 RAM, display none, color RGB. We'll have the text align center. Then we'll target the form. We'll say transfer form, display none. Then we'll say form, display flex direction column, gap 10 pixels, padding left 2 em, padding right 2 em, padding bottom 0.4 em, background color our primary color. Then we'll come down here, we'll target the field, display flex, align item center, justify content center, gap 0.5 em, border radius to 25 pixels, padding 0.6 em, border none, outline none, color white, background color primary color. Then we'll have the box shadow to inset 2 pixel, 5 pixel, 10 pixel, and we have the RGB color. We'll come down, we'll target the input icon. We'll say height 1.3 em, width is going to be 1.3 em, fill, we'll have the RGB color. Then we'll come down, we'll target the input field. We'll say background to be none, border none, outline none, width is going to be 100%, color going to be RGB. Then we'll have the form button, display flex, justify content center, flex direction row, margin top 0.25 em. Then we'll have the button, padding 0.5 em. Then we'll have the padding left 1.1 em, padding right 1.1 em. Then we'll have the border radius 5 pixels, margin right 0.5 em, border none, outline none, transition 0.5 second easy in out, then background image linear gradient, and we'll have this gradient color. We'll have the color RGB. We'll come down, we'll target the button over effect. We'll say background is going to be image linear gradient, the same gradient but the different color. We'll take the color RGB. We'll come down, we'll target the button to padding 0.5 em, left 2.3 em, padding right 2.3 em, border radius 5 pixels, border none, outline none, transition easy in out, background image linear gradient, and we'll have the primary color. Then we'll have the color. They'll come down, we'll target the button over effect. We'll take the image linear gradient. Then we'll take the color to be RGB. We'll come down and we're going to take the button 3, margin bottom 3 em, padding 0.5 em, border radius 5 pixels, border none, and this looks pretty, and outline none, transition 4.5 easy in out. Then we have the background image linear gradient. We'll have the color RGB. We'll come down, we'll target the button 3 over effect, background image linear gradient, and we take the color 3 pixels. We'll come down, we'll take this color background linear gradient, and we'll take the border radius. We'll take the transaction all 0.3 seconds, and we'll take the card 2. We'll target the transition all 0.2 second. We'll take the card 2 over effect, transition from scale radius. We'll come down, we'll target the over effect, box shadow 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 35 pixel, 1 pixel, and we'll have the RGB color. We'll take the notification P and we'll set the color to be white. Text align center. Come here and simply come here. We'll take the text decoration none, close this one, display none, text area is going to be none. We'll take the space and we'll say margin top is going to be 3 RAM. And then we'll work on the loader section because we have to design that. We'll take the center to be display none by default, justify content center, align item center, margin 0 auto. We'll take the loader, position relative, width 54 pixels, height 54 pixels, border radius 10 pixels, loader div. We'll take the width 8%, height 24%, background we'll have this RGB, we'll have the position absolute, we'll have the left 50%, top 50%, opacity is going to be 0, border radius 50 pixels, box shadow 3 pixels, and we'll have the RGB color. We'll have the animation fade is 1 linear infinity. Then we have to write the keyframe, so it will start from opacity 1, then it will go to opacity 0.25. We'll work on the loader. We'll take this loader bar 1, so we have to target each bar individually and we have to define this property. So I'll go a little faster here. All we have to do is to change the variable, so let me write it very quickly. So we're done with the entire loader. Now we have to work on the home page. So we'll target the home and we have to say margin 0 auto. We'll take the background color to be our primary color. Then we'll take this text align center, and we have to give the padding 1 rem and 2 rem. Display none. We'll come down and we have to target the home header. This will say display flex, justify content, space between. We'll say cursor pointer. We'll target the home header image. Margin top 1 rem. Width is going to be 5 pixels, 50 pixels. Height is going to be 50 pixels. Home feature, display grid. Grid template column is going to be repeat for 1FR. Gap 1 rem. We'll target the feature image. Image top 1 rem. Width is going to be 20 pixels. Then we have the height 20 pixels. We'll come down, we'll target the home feature item P. Line height is going to be 0. Color primary, and we'll take this home tabs. Display grid. Grid template column. Repeat 3 1FR. We'll take the margin top 1 rem. Then we have to work on the assets. So we'll take the asset item. Display grid. Grid template column. Repeat 3 1FR. We'll take the align item center. Grid area 2 rem. Border top. Then we'll have the padding 1 rem and 0. We'll target the assets item image. Width is going to be 20 pixels. Height is going to be 20 pixels. Border 1 pixel solid, and we'll have the primary color green. Well, border radius. Then we have the padding. We'll come the activity. Display none. We'll have the import token. It will be display none. Then we'll have the go back. It will be width 50 pixels and height is 50 pixels. List style 0. And we'll take this account data. Word wrap breakwork. And we'll take the account data. Display flex none. And we'll take this go home page. Display none. We'll take this import account. Display none. We'll take this list. Display grid. Grid template column 1FR 5FR. Border bottom 1 pixel solid, and we'll have the primary green. Align item center. Then we'll take this end. So this looks pretty good to me. Hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. We have written the entire CSS for our MetaMask clone as a utility classes. All we have to do is to simply pass this classes and we'll have our styling ready. So we'll have this body, we'll have this WebKit scroll, header logo, heading, header network. We have the network add style, network title, network item, home screen image, home title. This is the buttons, connect wallet. This is the home paragraph. This is the home screen login, create pop-up. We have the transform. This is the form. We have the fields. We have input icons, input field, form buttons, button 1 over effect, button 2 over effect, button 3 and button 3 over effect. This is the card 2 and card over effect, card over, the small notifications, the anchor, the text area, space, the loader, and we have the loader divs. This is the keyframe we have. This is the all the bars we have targeted. Bar 3, 4, 5. This one is the 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the home page, home header, image, feature image, home items, tabs, assets, activity, tokens, account data, home page, import account, list. All of these classes we have built, and this one is optional. So cut this one and looks pretty good. You can see we have written all the classes, and hope things are making sense to all of you guys. Now the only thing is left is the HTML and the menace file. So we have done with this API, pop-up and style. So looks pretty good. So with that, we are done with this entire CSS file, and that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have got an idea that what we have done. And now comes the most easiest part, because we have done all the hard work. We have built the logic for the MetaMask, we have built the backend part, we have written the CSS, and now we have to write this small code for the HTML, and everything would be live. After writing the HTML, then we'll move to the manifest.json file, and then we'll deploy. So hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. If you have encountered any error, make sure to rewatch the video, because I have written everything very slowly. And if you want to get the final code for comparing, you can get it and you can compare your code for that. With that, I'm ending this video. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Great. So in the last video, we have completed the entire CSS for our extension. In this video, we're going to write the HTML for our extension. So here I've opened the project. You can see this is the asset folder, this is the API, and in that we have all the models, the controller, auth controller model, all the models we have. Then we have the router, all the routers like account, token, and user. Close this one, and this is the app where we have built all the routers, and we are calling the model. This is the config file. I hope you guys have got your private key, database key, and the password, and the configuration you have done. And I would suggest you don't use my, because I'm going to delete this particular repository after this project, so it's not going to work if you use my database and the password. And this is the entire CSS we have written in this video, and this is the pop-up.js, and in this video we're going to write the HTML for our code. So this one is going to be a quite fun, and hope you guys are at the same place where I am right now. So I'm going to make the browser side by sides. All we have to do is to build the skeleton, build the HTML, and we have to attach the classes we have already built, and the styling will take place. So there is I have started the application with the live server, and I hope you know what is live server. If you don't know, simply install the live server from the extensions, and you can click and you can start coding. So first thing I will do is I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to take this exclamation mark and hit tab, so it will generate the boilerplate for me. And now I have to give the title, so I'll say blockchain coder, and all the resources is provided in the blockchain coder, so you can go and you can check from there. So we have the title. You can see the title is changed in the browser. Now we have to work on the HTML. So first thing we have to do is, let me type this hey, and you can see our live server is working absolutely fine. We have to import our CSS file, so let's take that. So this is the file which we have here. Now we're going to open it, and now let's write the HTML. So first we'll take a div. It will have a class called card. Inside that we'll take another div. It will have a class called card2, and inside that we have to take the header component. So we'll take this header. I'm going to comment this one, and here we're going to build the header component. So we'll take a div, and we'll say header, end of header component. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called header, and inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called header logo. Inside that we'll take the image, and we have to give the image. So we have the images in the asset folder, and from there we're going to select this particular image, save it, and let's assign the attribute. So this is how it will look. Pretty good. You can see how things are coming together because we have already done all the hard work. Now we can come here. Now we have to come out from header logo, and we'll take a div. It will have a class, and we'll say header network. It will have the ID called header network, and we'll take a paragraph. If you come back here, if you open this assets, inside the assets we have all the images, and we have this CSV file. So we're going to use the icon. So we're going to use this particular icon question. Simply click on that, and that's what we're going to take it. So if I show you, so I have already installed that extension in the browser, and you can see if I click on that, we have these icons, and we have this arrow drop down, we have the question marks, and that's what we need. Okay, so come back here. Let's click on this question, copy that one, come back here in the HTML and paste here. Okay, it's a huge CSV file. Close this one, and here we have to take the display our text. So we'll take a span, and it will have an ID called selected network, and here we have to set the default to polygon Mumbai. Save it. Here you can see. Now we have to take the another icon, which is the arrow. So copy, and that's what we have to paste down here. You can see it looks pretty good. So we have done with the both the icons and the polygon default. Now we can come here, simply close this header one. Now we can come here, come down, we have to take a network section, comment this and copy and paste, say end of network. Inside that we're going to take a div. It will have a class called network. It will have a network item. We'll take a class called network item, network list, because that's the classes and the ID we have assigned. So now we have to take a paragraph. Inside that, let's assign a class to network item. Come back here and we need the lock icon. Simply take that one and paste here. So this is the lock icon. You can see looks pretty good. Now we can come down and we have to display our network name. So we'll take a span and we'll say Ethereum mainnet. Okay, something's wrong. Now cut this one and we have to paste inside the p tag. So now this will looks pretty fine. Now replicate it couple of times because we are displaying 5 networks. So let's replicate it 5 times, and all we have to do is to simply change the name of the network. So simply come here, change this to Polygon, save it, close this one. Now we have to provide this one to Polygon Mumbai, save it, close it. Now we have this one called Gorilla Test Network, remove this one and save it. And this one is the Sofali Test Network, remove this and save it. So something's wrong. I think I forgot something. Let me have a look. So this is the entire network items. Now we can come down and we have to display the button. So let's take the button first. We'll take a button. It will have an ID called add network, and that's the button we have. And then we'll take a class and it will have the button 3 class and it will have the add style, and let's call the add network. So save it. This is how it looks. Something's wrong. What I will do is I can simply come up here and I see that I forgot something. So you can see here we have that one. So come here, we'll take a script. Let's connect the script first because we have the JavaScript, and now let's connect that one. So let's connect the pop-up. Looks pretty good. This is the button we have. Now we have to take a div and we have to wrap this network item component into a network component. So that's what I forgot. So let's come here, we'll take a div. It will have a class ID, network, and it will also have a class called network. We'll cut this one and paste right down here. So it will be inside this, and you can see that we have, by default we are hiding our network, the drop down. So let me open this one. So what I will do, I'll come here, let me take a div. Let me take a div. It will have a class called network title, and here we have to display the p tag. So we'll say network. So that looks pretty fine, and what I will do is I will simply comment this script tag, and if I reload that, nothing is happening. What I will do, I'll come here, I will copy the ID, or I can copy the class, come back to the CSS file, and I have to search for it. So you can see this is the network. So I have to search for the other one. We have 6 networks, and this is the network. So by default we are making displays to none, so you can see that. So I will simply hide this one. So you can see this is our network. Looks pretty good. It's getting out of the box, but that's absolutely fine, not a big deal. So our network component is looking fine. So simply hide that one and come back here. So this looks pretty good. We are done with this network drop down. Now what we can do, we have to move to the other component. So we'll say hero screen and copy and paste here. This will be end of hero screen. Now we have to take a div. It will have a ID. We'll say create account, and we will have a class called home screen sign up, and inside that we'll take an image. We have to display our logo. So we'll go to the blockchain coders, then we'll assign the alt attribute, and let's assign a class as well. We'll say home screen image. So our image will display. So somehow by default this home screen is hidden, so we have to make it visible. So simply copy this, come back to the CSS file, and we have to search for the particular class. So there is no class by the name create account. That's weird. Now we can come here, and this is the one we have to target. Copy that one and come back here and paste here. So you can see by default we display is none. So we'll simply comment this, and here it's displaying. So we'll start working on it, and after we're done with that, we're going to hide it. So that's the image we have. Come down, we'll take a h1 and it will have a class called home title. It will have this particular title, the blockchain coders. Looks pretty good. Come down, we'll take a p tag, and here we're going to display the message, welcome to next generation crypto wallet exchange, the most complete dApp solutions. Looks pretty good. You can type whatever you want. Come down here, we'll take a button and it will say id open create. It will have a class called button3 and we'll have a connect wallet. Save it. Now we have to display the text, so we'll say create account. So that's the account. Now we'll come down and we'll take a p tag. We'll say login to your account if user already have his account, and we'll take a strong tag and we'll display. It will have a class called home title, and it will have an id. We'll say login account and we'll display our text. We'll say login. So that looks pretty good. Okay, this one is for create account. So this one is the home screen. Close all this one, and looks pretty good. So that's the home screen we have written. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply close this one. Now bring this up, and now we have to work on the next component. So we can come here, we'll say create pop-up and end of create pop-up. So this will actually create our account. So now come back to the CSS and we have to hide this particular one. So we'll come back and we'll simply uncomment this and hide it. So save it and it's gone. Now we have to work on the create pop-up. So we can come here, we'll take a div. It will have a class called id call create pop-up. It will have a class called create pop-up. It will have, and inside that, copy that one and come back here and we have to search for it, and we have to simply display by default. So we'll simply comment this one and it will display our component. Come back here. So here we are. Now we can bring this down and we can take a div. It will take a class called form. Inside that we'll take a p. It will have an id called heading and we'll display our heading create account. Looks good. And now we have to display our input field. So we'll take a div. It will have an id called field. Inside that what I'm going to do is, so if you come back here in the extension, if I click on the extension, and you can see if you click on this and if you click on this create account, it's going to open this one. So this is what we are working on. Okay, now we can work on the fields. So I'll come here. First thing I have to do is that I have to take the CSV icon. So I need this particular icon, the log one, copy, and that's what I have to paste here. We got the icon. Now I have to take the input field. So take the input will be the text. Then we'll have a class called input icon, input field, and it will have a placeholder called name, and it will have an id. We'll say sign up name. So that looks good. Something's wrong, they are not properly aligned, so I forgot to add something. So I can see where it is a problem. So I can come here, I can simply close this one. I will take another div and it will have the same class. So we'll say field and I will cut and paste down up here. So it looks fine. Now it's working good. So what I will do, I will simply replicate this couple of times. So this one is the second, save it. This one is the third one, say, and this one is the fourth one. These are the 4 data we need. So let's change this one. So I come here, I can take the @ icon, and that's what I'm going to paste here. So close here and simply remove this, paste, and that's the @ we have in the second input field. And now we can simply close this one and change the placeholder to email, and this will be the email. Save it, close this one, and now we have to work on the other two. So the password. So we can come here and this will be the password, and this will be the password. Save it. And the last one we'll have the password confirm. So change this to password confirm, and this will be the password confirm.
password, confirm, save it. Looks good. We have no issues so far, and that's all the input field we have. Now we can provide some space, because if you look at these input fields, they are very close to each other. So let's provide a space. So we'll take a p tag and we'll have a class called space, and it will give us the space. Simply copy and paste in between these input fields, and now we have very good space. Now we can take the button. So we can come here, we'll take a div, it will have an ID called center. So instead of taking button, what we can do is when the user will click, we have to display our loader. Okay, so that's what we're going to do it. So let's assign an ID to center, then we'll assign a class to center, and in that we're going to build our loader. So we'll take a div, it will have a class called loader, and simply copy and come back here in the CSS file, and now we have to search for center class and simply stop this one. Okay, not this one, search for it, come back, and this is the one. Simply comment this and it will display our loader component. Cut here, come back here, and now we have to build that. So here what we're going to do is we're going to take 12 bars. So we'll take a div, it will have a class called bar1, and altogether we have to take 12. So simply replicate it 12 times, and we have to change the class to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you save it, you will have this loader. And that's the benefit of working as a utility classes, because the classes are ready. All you have to do is to build the HTML and everything will come to life. So our loader is working absolutely fine. We have no issues. Simply close this one, come down, and now we have to take the button. So we'll take a div, it will have an ID called account data, it will have a class called account data, make it capital. Inside that, what we're going to do is we're going to take this h3 and we'll have an ID called account info, and it will say account. So what will happen that when the user will successfully create his account, we're going to display this particular component, and in that we're going to display his address, private key, and mnemonic foundation. So that's the component we are working on. So let's take that. It will have the p and it will have an ID called created address, and we'll call it address for the time being, because this is going to be dynamically populated. Now we have to take the another one, which is the private key, and simply copy and come here in the CSS and let's open that one. So let's call it, so where it is, and here we have, simply comment this, and here we have, you can see the address and the private key is displaying. Looks good. Now we can take the last one for the mnemonic. So we'll take a p tag and we'll display the ID created private key, and in that we will display the private key of the account. Then we have to take the last one, which is a mnemonic, and we'll provide an ID created mnemonic, and we have that. The data looks pretty good. Looking good. Save it, and that looks pretty good to me. Now we can come down and we can take the button. So we'll take an ID, it will have a sign up, and it will have a class called button3, and we'll have a button connected wallet, and we'll say sign up. So that looks pretty good to me. And now we'll have on one more button for closing. So it will have a ID called go home page, it will have a class button3, and we'll have a connect wallet, and we'll say go back. Save it. Looks good. Now you can come back to here in the center, and now we have to simply hide this loader. Save it, it's gone. Now we can come back to the account data, and that's what we have to hide it, and save it, gone. And here we have the input field. By default, this is what we're going to open whenever someone will create on the create button, and this pop-up will open and they can put the data. Now it looks good. So this one is working absolutely fine. Now we can do one thing. Simply, this is the create pop-up. Now we can simply come down here and we'll say login component. So this one is for the create. Now we have to work on the login one. We'll say end of login, and now we have to hide this one. So simply copy this one, come back to the CSS and search for that, and here we have simply uncomment this, and this will be hidden. By default we're going to open the login page, and all the pages will be going to open and close with the help of JavaScript and the user interaction. So close this one, come back to the HTML, and now we have to build on the login component. So we'll come here, we'll take a div, it will have an ID called login user, it will have a class called home screen login. Inside that we'll take the image, the same, the blockchain coder image, we're going to take it. It will have a class because we have to reuse the size. So we'll say home screen image. We'll come down, we'll take this h1, and we have to display the title. So it will have a class called home title, and will display the blockchain coder. We have the text. Now we have to take a div, it will have a class called form, it will have an ID called login form. Here we have to take a p tag, and we have to display a short description. So we'll say welcome back, the decentralized web awaits. You can type whatever you want. So that's the title we have. Let's type it dab, and we can come here. Now we have to build the input fields. So we'll take a div, it will have a class called field. Inside that we have to display the icon. So we can come back, looks good to me. Now we have to get the icon. So come back here, go back to the, we need this @ copy that one, and that's what we have to paste here. So this is the icon we have. Now we have to take the input field, type text, and we'll take the ID. So we'll say login email, then we'll take the class, we'll say input field, and we'll take the placeholders email. So looks good. Now simply come here, copy this one and paste one more time, and this time we have to display the password icon. Simply copy that one and paste here. Okay, that's fix one. Simply copy and replace this, paste here, and that's the icon we have. And we can change the ID. So will be the password, and the placeholder is the password. Looks good. Save it, and that's the input field we have. Now we can come here, and we can take a button. It will be have an ID, we'll say login up. It will have a class called button3 and connect wallet. Inside that we're going to take this p tag, we'll say login to your account. Okay, it's right, not there. We have to simply cut this one and paste down below. Inside the button we have to display the login, and here we have to take a strong tag, and we'll have a class called home title, and we'll display the ID for opening the account create component, and we'll say create account. If they don't have the account, then they can create it, or if they have the account, they can simply log in. So this is the login, and this is the by default page we're going to open. Save it, looks pretty good. Simply close this one, and looks good. Now we can come here, we have to work on the transfer component, so user can transfer the fund. Now we can simply say end of transfer component. Now we'll come here, we can do one thing, we can simply copy this one, come back to the CSS, and for the time being we have to hide it. So simply copy and paste and say display none. Looks good. Now come here, and we'll take a div. It will have a class called transfer form. It will have an ID called transfer form. Inside that, first we have to open it. So let's find out. Simply comment this, and it will open our component. So close this one, come back here, and we have to work on it. So we'll take a div. It will have a class called form. Inside that we'll have the image. So we have to display the blockchain coder image. Remove this, and let's assign a class. So we'll say go home, and we'll type the ID. So the ID will say go back, and let's change this image. We need to display the left icons, so arrow left. So this will take the user back to the home page. Now we'll take a p tag and it will have an id, and we'll call it transfer fund. We can come here and we can take a div. It will have a class called filled. Inside that we're going to take the icon, so at the rate icon we take, or we can take the log icon. So we'll take the log icon and we'll take the input field, type text, and we'll say a class, and it will have the input field, we'll say placeholder to be the amount, and the id is the amount. Looks good. So that's the first input field, and now we have to take the another one for the address. So simply close this one, simply provide a space, and simply copy this and paste here. So we'll have some space, and now we can change the address. So first we have to change the icon CSV file. Come here, get this one, and simply click on replace this one, and we have to change the amount, the placeholder, transfer address, and we have to change the id to address. Looks good. Close this one. Now we have to build the button. So this one is the form one, and now we display the loader, because we have to display the loader when the user is doing the transfer. So this is the loader we have already built. So we're going to take this one, the entire loader we have built in the create popup, and come here, and that's what we're going to simply paste here. So if we come back here, this is the image, this is the field, and this is the place where we're going to paste our loader, and we're going to change the id, only id. So we'll say transfer container, and the rest would be fine. So if you come back here, if you go to the center, the loader, and if you simply uncomment this, our loader is working absolutely fine. So that's how we can call our loader. Now we have to display the transaction message. So once the transaction is complete, we have to display the transaction that you can verify the transaction. So let's assign an id link. Let's open this in the new tab, and we're going to say check your transaction, and we're going to populate this URL for every single transaction with JavaScript dynamically. Okay, after the transaction will complete, we're going to display the URL of the transaction where the user can verify. So that's the transaction. Now looks good. Now we can come down here, we can take a button. It will have an ID called transfer fund. It will have a class called button3, and we'll have the connect wallet, and we'll say transfer, save it. So this is the entire transfer component we have. Looks good. Close this one, simply copy that one, come back here, and we have to simply hide it by default. So uncomment this, so it will be hidden. Come here, and now we have to work on the other component. So we'll come here, we'll simply do one thing. We'll take now we have to work on the import component. So copy that one and paste here. We'll say end of import. Now we're going to take the div. It will have an ID called import token. It will have a class called import token. Inside that, we're going to take a, let's say, div. It will have a class called form, and we're going to simply bring this to live. So comment this and come here. Inside that, we'll have to take the image, because we have to allow user to go back to the home page. So we have to display the arrow, and we have to assign a class. So we'll say go back, the ID import, and it will have the class as well. So we'll say go back. So it looks pretty good. Let's take a p tag. It will have an ID called heading, and we'll say import token. And now we have to display the input field. So we'll take a class called field. Inside that, we can come here, we have to take the icon, at the rate icon, and that's what we have to display. Save it. Down below, we have to take an input field. We'll say input field. It will have a class called input field. It will have the placeholder called token address. That's how it will look, and it will have an ID, so we can get the address of the token. Looks good. Now we have to simply replicate this 3 times. We have to assign a space. Now we can simply take this and paste here, and looks good. Close this one, and we have to change this to, this one is token name, and this will be the name. Save it. Now we have to simply place it one more time, so save it, and here we have to display the symbol, because we need the symbol to display in our UI component, and this will be the symbol. And we can remove this. That looks pretty good. So this is the entire input fields. Now we can come down and we can take our button. It will have an ID called add new token. It will have a class button 3 and connect wallet, and we have to display our import text. So this is the entire import component. So far so good. Now close this one, and now we have to work on the other component. So looking good to me. Bring it back and simply copy and paste here, and this will be the account. Copy and paste here, and this will be an account. Simply hide this particular one, so display none. And now we have to work on, we'll take a div. It will have a class called home, and we'll take a ID. It will have a class ID home. Then we'll take a div. It will have a class called home header. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a p tag called heading ID user address, and by default we'll say connecting, and this data we're going to populate with the JavaScript when the user will create or his account. So let's comment simply display. So where it is, this is the one. Comment this out, and here we have the home component. So if user will logged in, or if user have as an account, so this is the page we're going to display by default if user is logged in. But if user is not logged in, we're going to display the login page. So that's one. We have simply copy and paste here, and we have to change the text to and remove this ID because we don't need that. And that looks good. That's the header. Now we can come here. We have to display the image. In the blockchain coder, you can display whatever you want. Let's assign a class called home header image. Looks good. We can come here. We'll take a h1. We'll have an ID. We'll say account balance, and by default we're going to display this 00, and we can say Matty. Looks good. Now we can simply come here. We'll take a div. It will have a class called home feature, and inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called home feature item. Inside that we'll take an image. So we already have the image. We're going to take this by image. Then we'll assign a class called home feature image. We have the icon. Now we have to display the text. So we take a p tag and we'll say by. That's how it's going to look. And let's assign a class called text. Simply grab this one and copy 4 times, and just change the image name and the text. This will be the user, this will be the account, and this will be our import, and this will be import. So we have all these 4 features we are providing. Looks good. No issue we have so far. Close this one. Come here, and now we have to work on the tabs. So we'll take a div. It will have a class called home tabs. Inside that we're going to display 3 tabs. Let's assign a p tag. It will say open. We'll say open dash asset. We'll say asset. Let's replicate it 3 times because we're going to display 3 tabs. And this will be the logout. We'll say logout, and this will be the activities, activity and activity. So these are 3 tabs we have. Save it. Looks good. Now we can simply come here and we can provide the space. So we'll have some space from the bottom. Looks good. Let's provide twice, so we have some space. So this is the tabs component we have. Now here we have to display our components. So this is the asset component, and this is what we have to do. We'll take a div, it will have an ID called assets, and it will have a class called asset, and we're going to feed the data with the help of JavaScript. Okay, that's the only thing we have to do, and we're going to populate the data in this with the JavaScript. Let's come down here. Let's work on the activity. For the activity, I'm going with the hardcode data, but you can make it dynamic. So we'll take this div, it will have a ID called activity, it will have a class called activity, and inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called asset item. Inside that we'll take the image. You want to take this particular image, and it will have a class called asset item image, and it's not displaying. So what I will do is, to see that styles are applying, I will simply copy this one and come back to my CSS file, and let's try to comment this, and you can see our activity component is open. Now we can come here, we'll take a span and we'll display this dummy address, and we'll display the balance as a dummy one. Looks good. Let me short this one, and looks pretty good. So this is the activity section. So whenever you can do one thing, you can store this data of the transaction which users are doing in the local browser, and from there you can fetch and you can render, or you can store the data in the API, and from there you can fetch and do the transfer. That's what you can do, but I'll just leave it on you guys. Looks good. Copy and paste. So we're going to display this two activities, hardcode data, but you can make it dynamic anytime. Looks good to me. All the things are working absolutely fine. And now we can come here. Let's uncomment this script which allow us to connect with the JavaScript we have written. And now we have two options to import the Three.js package. So as long as we are testing locally in our Chrome browser, we can definitely use the CDN. But if you want to upload the extension on the Chrome store, then the CDN will not work. We have to use the library internally, and we have both the things. So let's do one thing. I can simply take this script, and I'm going to take this script and I'm going to simply import the CDN. So this is the CDN you have to type. So http cdn ethers.io/library/ether 5.2, and we'll say und minified JS. We have to define the type is gonna be the application / JavaScript. So this is the CDN we are using for the Ether library, and looks pretty good. Now you can simply comment this. There is nothing in there, it's hidden. Now we can come back here. You can see here we are on the home page. Simply uncomment this, it's gone. And now by default we have to display our login page when the user will come. So let's find out where it is and where we have that one. And here we have simply display block, and hide this one, remove this part, comment, and you can see this is the default page we're going to display. Looks good. Make it big, reload the browser. Let's do the inspect element, and let's see, do we have any error? And looks good. Yes. Do we have error? Yes, we have a lot of error, but we're going to fix that. Okay, you can see here we are, somehow this account list is not defined. So I guess I made a spelling mistakes. So this particular ID is not there. If I search for it, it's not there. You can see that, and that's why I'm getting this error message. But we have target that ID in here in the pop-up.js, but the ID is not there. So that's the one bug we have. So that's the bug we're going to fix it. I found the problem, the error I was getting. So come back here in the import component, and you can see this is the entire component we have built. Import component, these are the field we have, and this is the button. So all you have to do is to add this particular div. It will have a class called account list, and it will have an ID called account list. So once you add this, will not have the error, and this time things will work fine. So here we have target that one, and here we have that one. So in that way the error is gone. So if you come back to the browser, you can check it, and here you can see that I have connected the, simply remove this, uncomment this, simply remove this one and uncomment this, save it, and things looks pretty good to me. So far so good. Here we have all the things. You can simply console log out the entire Ether library. So do we have or not? So save it, come back to the browser, do the inspect element, and here you can see still we are getting this address is not defined because there are, I know why this particular error is happening, and we have faced these errors a lot of time in the NFT marketplace, in the Uniswap, and in the other project we have built, and that's the very easy fix. So I just want you to think that why we are getting this error. So I'll definitely solve this one, but I want you to think that why we are getting this particular error, and this error is coming from the my function. So just try to analyze that. So let's look at this. So we had seen, see there we have the object which is for the Ether package. We have all of that. So it looks pretty good. Close this one, and you can see we are getting this one. I'm going to comment this, simply close this one, and here we are. All the things are working fine. You can click, you can come back to the create account, you can click on, go back, you can see our click event is also working fine. You can click on this create account, this will input the fine. If you click on that, this one is also looking fine. We are getting the RPC URL for different network, but we are focusing mainly on the Polygon. You can make it dynamic. So looks good. All the networks are well working, and here just forget about it. This will not create any issue in the when we'll deploy this extension. Reload the browser, and so far so good, no issue we have here. And that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. So whatever we have built so far in this particular video, I hope everything is making sense and you guys have built the entire HTML the way I did. If you guys have encountered any error, make sure to rewatch that, and in the next video we're going to fix couple of bugs because we have couple of bugs in our extension. So that's what we're going to fix it in the next video, and in the next video is going to be the last video in that we're going to fix the bugs and we're going to deploy. So let's move to that. Of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video we have written the entire HTML and we have tested locally that how it's performing. So when I was testing that extension, so I can make a recording right now. In the next part I found couple of bugs, and that's what I'm going to highlight here, and that's what we're going to fix. And after that fixing the bug, we're going to deploy the extension to our Chrome extension store. Okay, so here I have opened the project. You can see we have all of this code. So we have the assets folder, inside that we have all the assets, then we have the API, then we have the Ether library package, then this is the fab icon, and we have to write the code in this manifest.json file because this one is the very important one, and our Chrome web store will read this particular domain data which we're going to provide in the manifest file, that what is our extension about. Then we have the HTML. This is the entire HTML, and we have a lot of bugs in that. We have to fix that. And this is the pop.js file, in that we have to fix also a couple of bugs. And this is the CSS file, and this is the readme file in which I have shared some important links which you can have a look. So close this one, and now we have to start fixing the bugs. So the very first thing we have to start is we have to start fixing the bug from pop-up HTML. So click on that, and that's what we're going to fix it. Okay, so this one is very important. Make sure to consciously watch this so you won't have any issue. So you can see this is the script file we had, the style file we have added. This is the header card section. This is the header section. This is the network section, the drop-down network section, and this is the create account. And this is the create pop-up. This is the login component, and we can come here to the transfer component. If you open that one, in that I have found something. So let me show you what I mean by that. So this is the small link we have, and this is the transfer component. And if you come back here, so here make sure to have exact spelling which I have provided. I guess I made a spelling mistakes here, so make sure to have the same spelling which you can see. It's called transform, and here we have the import component. So let's open this one, and in that I have done a couple of changes. So open that one, and if I scroll down here, you can see in the last video I show you that how you can add this account list, but we don't need to add here. Okay, so that's why I have comment this one. So make sure to comment this particular one. We have to add in somewhere else, and make sure to provide the exact ID, exact class name, and comment this particular div we have created. Okay, that's called new. Now the rest would be fine. Simply close this one, and what So somehow the recording was stopped and I was not able to record this particular component when I built that one. So in your case, when whatever code you have right now, in that you won't have this particular component. So let me show you what I have in this component. So this component called import account, and I have written this message new not recorded. So this is the entire component you don't have. So make sure to type this and create. So take a div. Let me show you what you have. So this is the entire component you have to type. So open this one, take a div, it will have an id and it will have a class. Then we have to take a div, it will have a class called form, and this is the image. You have to assign the exact id, close input account, and attach a class button, then the image folder file. So this is the image and the id, everything you have to provide. Then we have this particular title, import account, and then we have the input field. So we are displaying the @ unlock icon. So this is the first input field, and this is the text area we have. And that user will put their private key and they can import their account. So we have this text input field, then the placeholder, then we have the id, then we have the name and the arrow. So this is the exact thing you have to provide. So this is the first input field we have, and that's the only thing we need. Then we have this button, and make sure to assign the id, add new account, and this is the class for the button. And we have this import, and this is the one we have. It's called account class account list. So instead of putting this in the token one, we have to put in the account list. So make sure to do this. So like earlier we put here, but we don't need to put here. We simply cut that one, and that's what we have to import right up here. So I have taken this div, it will have a class, it will have an id, and this is the text, the component we're going to display in this dynamically. So I have commented this out, save it. Okay, this is the entire component for account, import account, and this is the main body. I have not done any changes in here. You can see this is the header component we have, this is the image we have, this is the title, this is the feature, and here we have to do a couple of changes in the home feature. So you can see that this is the old one. So this one is the home feature where we are providing different like buying, send, account, and import. So somehow I forgot to attach the id. So you can see you don't need to do anything in the buy, but you have to do something in the account and import and send. So here I have added the id. So this one is the old one. So this is the first one, this is the old one. Make sure to attach the id, open transfer in the send one. So it will open the transfer component. Then we have to attach here open account import, and you have to attach this here open import. So once you attach this id, the component will trigger and it will open. So this was the one thing I forgot, and that's happened, that's part of development. Okay, so that's the changes you have to do. This is the tab, make sure to keep all the id same as it is, and compare it one more time. This is the space, and here we have the assets, and that we're going to populate the data dynamically, and this is the activity. You don't need to do any changes in here. So this is the exact changes you have to do. You can see that I have comment the ether package local one, and I'm using this CDN because I have to test locally, but when we deploy, we're going to comment this CDN and we're going to use the internal package. So that's what we are using, and this one is we are hiding. So these are the changes you have to do. Make sure to do all of these changes, otherwise your extension will not work. So come here, and now we have to do the changes in the pop-up.js, because here I forgot to add something and we have to do a couple of spelling correction. So let's close this one, and the first thing we have to do is make sure to match all of this. So this one looks pretty fine, no changes we have to do here. We have this element we are targeting, no changes. This sign up, login, log out, this one is the transfer one, this one is the go back, and here I attach this one. So I forgot to target this particular element, so go back import. In your case you won't have this as well, so make sure to type it, document.get element by id, target the id, go back import, and we have to attach the function on the click event. So this is the one correction you have to do, and the rest should be fine. No need to do the changes in any document, and this is good. Let's remove this one. So these are a good one, and now we have this, looks pretty fine. You can simply hide this one or you can keep it. Let's hide it. comment this, and good. These are good. And now we have to do a little bit changes right up here. So you can see we have this anchor, and that's the change what I have done. So make sure you have to add this one, because this is what we have written. You have to attach this. So this is the polygon scan, and we have to attach the transaction hatch, and then we have to open. So in this way user can click and they can redirect to the polyscan, then they can check their transaction. So we forgot to add this one, so make sure to attach this particular. So that's the only thing you have to do in here, and you can see we have called new. So that's the only changes you have to do in the handler. There's no changes in the check balance. This is the network, set network, user logging, all the things are looking pretty good. And we have to do a couple of changes. So come back to the sign up, and here we have to do the changes. And I believe that you guys have noticed this particular error which I have done. So here you can see this is the URL we have, and here we are calling this handles, but it's called header. Okay, so this is the very silly mistake I have done. So it's called headers, not handlers. So because of this I was getting error when I was testing locally. So make sure to fix this one, and this is what you have to fix in all the API requests which you are making. So this is, and the rest should be fine. So close this one, do the same thing for the login, hide and do this, close this one. And here we have to do the changes. So in this open transfer I made a spelling mistake in the ID. So simply do one thing, open this one, and this is the earlier one. So it's called transform, but actually it's FORM. Okay, so make sure to do this change, that will work fine. And do the same thing here as well in the close component function. So this is the check we have to do. This is the import, go back, activities, assets, all the things are looking fine. We don't need to do any changes, and we have to do the changes here in the add token as well. So make sure to configure the header, not handlers, and the rest should be fine. Then we have this add, and I guess here we have done the right. Okay, so here we don't need to do the changes because we have done the right header setup. And this one is the function, and here you have to do a changes. So as I told you that you guys are getting that address is not there, and because of this, because when there is no address in the local storage, it's try to fetch the data and it won't find it, but it's tried to fetch and render. So because of that we were getting that error message. So all you have to do is to add this particular question marks right up here, and we have covered this tons of time in our previous project. So whenever you are getting any data from the API or the smart contract, it's always better that you have to add this particular question marks, so it will not throw an error, and that will fix the issue. So add this question marks and you won't have any issues. And this looks pretty good. Close this one, and you can come here, and here you have to do the changes. So here you can see I forgot to add this double quote on the right hand side, and because of that I was getting the error. So make sure to add this double quote, and that will fix the issue. And I hope in your case you have done that too, so no issues you will have, and the rest would be fine. Now we don't need to do anything in here, everything is looking good. Save it. This is the copy address, no changes, and this is the change account, this will be the same. So these are the changes and modification you have to do. I hope you guys have followed what I have covered. No issues we have so far. Close this one, and all of the changes you have to do here in the HTML. Looks good, no issue we have. So first we're going to test it locally in our browser, and after that we're going to deploy. So come here, and now I believe that you guys have already installed the live server. So like if I minimize that one and open it in the browser, click on this, it will open in my default browser. I will simply cut that one. So first thing you have to do is you have to install the live server. So if you don't have live server, you have to install. So I will say live and click on this. This is the one we have to install. I already have in my VS Code, so I don't need to install that one. So once you install, you will have a button like this. Let me disconnect this, and you will have the button called go live. Click on that, it will open in the browser. So it's opening in my default browser. I'm going to simply copy this URL. So come here, open here, you can see everything is working fine. So we have open in our Chrome browser and looks pretty good. Let's do inspect element, and so far we are getting this particular error message because our API is not running, and we are trying to fetch the data, and that because of that we are getting this error message. So you have to make sure that your API should be running, and here we are making the calls but the API is not working. That's why we are getting this error message. So that looks pretty fine. Now what we can do is, this is the entire object from coming from Ether.js. Come back here in the VS Code and nothing will work fine. Nothing will work. If you pass the password and click, you will get this error message because the API is stopped. Come back here in the VS Code and now we have to start our API. So click on this and we have all of the things. Make sure to install all the packages we have here. And this is the particular command we have to run. So open up your terminal and first we have to get into the folder. I'm already into the folder, but I'm already into this folder. So you can simply go out of the folder and you can simply go out like this and you can simply come back to the folder like this. You have to paste the name of the folder, API, and here we are into the API folder, and now we have to simply start our server. So we'll say npm run start and this will start the server and we won't have any issue. So you can see database connected. You can simply bring this down and you can simply close this one, and now you can come back to the browser, and if you reload you won't have this issue. So this time we are fetching the information and the API is also working fine. So you can come here, you can see this is the packages we have, and now we can simply log in. So if I pass the right credential, you can switch to the account creation and you can create an account. You can pass the password. So I already created the account and I'm using the default backend, and that I have made this tutorial for demonstration purpose. So I have already created a couple of accounts. So let me log in. So this is the account which I have created, daulat@gmail.com, and this is the password. If I hit on in login, you can see I'm logged into the MetaMask and every single thing is working fine. I can able to fetch the balance, and this is the drop networks. All of things are looking fine, no issues we have. So if you reload the browser, we are logged in and it looks pretty good. We have all of this tokens we have imported. Now what I can do is, looks pretty good. Now you can simply click on logout and you can log out. Now let's log in back. Let's pass the password, log in, and here we are. So the logout login function is also working fine. Now let's check the activities. The tabs are also working. We can switch to different tabs. So this one is looking pretty good, no issue we have. Now click on this transfer and the transfer component is open. Close it and open, and this is the account. So we have already imported 2 accounts. When I was testing, that's account you will find. This is the input field. You can go back. This is the import token import. You can go back. Looks good. You can simply copy and you can paste address. This is also looking fine. So no issue we have. Everything is working fine. So what we can do is we can simply transfer the fund. If you want, you can do that. So looks pretty good. Let me have a look. What I can do is, let me switch the account, and here you can see if I click on that, and here we are using different account. If you copy and you can paste and you can check, we are using different account. So simply log in to my account. We'll say take this $1 and we'll pass the password, and all you have to do is to look at the price, the amount of money we have. So we have this 350 and we want to transfer the fund to that particular account. So that's a very easy one. Let's pass the address and pass the amount. So this much amount I want to transfer to this particular wallet address. So it's loading, it's making the transaction, and here we are, the transaction hatch. You can click on this and it will take you to the poly scan and you can able to verify the transaction. So this will take a little bit time. So if you come back here and you can see this is the account we have transferred the fund. So the balance is deducted. Earlier it was 3, now we have is 2. So if you want to check the fund, all you have to do is to come here and click on this, because this is the account where we have transferred the fund, and here you can see we have the fund in that, and here you can see this is the amount we have transferred. You can check the account. This is the account we have. This is the import token function you can import. So let me import the dummy one and let's give the random name. It's totally up to you what you want to call it, or you can make it dynamic. It's totally up to you. And let's assign a symbol. Click on import and here we have imported that. This is the token we have imported. So things are looking pretty good. So import is working, account is working, send is working, and you can same way you can import the any account. All you have to do is to pass the private key and it will reflect the account, which I will show you. So it looks pretty good. This is the transfer we have already checked, this is the private we have already checked, and this is the token we have already checked. This is the assets. You can click on logout and that's working fine. Now what we can do, let's click on this create account and let's create account. If user doesn't have any account, they can create. So click on this create, and now we have this create account. Click on that, and here we have to provide all of these detail: name, email, password, and confirm password. So let's provide the name. I'll call it Rahul, and I'll call it Rahul @ gmail.com. I'll pass this password. If I click on enter, and you can see we got this error message because I have already used this particular username and email ID, and that's why I'm getting this error message. You can see we got this failed matches, and on the basis of that you can display the error message as well. So if you open this one, you can see we have made the request but we got an error and everything is working fine. So what I can do is, all we have to do is to provide the different email ID. So the data we have got here, and here you will find the information. The data is created, but we have got the error from the user sign up. Reload that, and you can see somehow whenever any error will happen in our API, our our API will stop. But the best part of this deployment, when you will deploy your API on any particular service provider, they will automatically restart your API. So if anything goes wrong, it will automatically restart the API and you won't have an issue. But we are testing locally, so our API stopped. So we have to restart them manually. If we got this error message, come back to the VS Code, and here you can see our API is stored, and here we get the message that key value is not unique. Because of that we are getting this error message. So all we have to do is come back to the API app.js and save it. So it will restart our API because we are using nodemon. And if you come and you reload the browser, you won't have that issue. So let's click on this and let's pick a different email ID. So this time I will go with the something called, what name we have to pick. I'll pick Zohan. Rayan I can pick, RAYAAN Rayan, and this is a Rayan @gmail.com. I guess I have not used this one. Let's provide the password and provide the password. Click on this sign up, and this time we're going to create an account. You can see we have created this brand new account and we have no fund in this. You can click here and you can come back to the MongoDB. Here I am. Click on this and you can able to find all the data right up here. So you can see this is the user, and just now I have created that user. Let me scroll all the way down. So this is the Rahul already exists in our database. That's why we were getting the error message. And this is the Bhai, and this is the Sanwaz, and this is the Rand we have created just now. Looks good. And we have 0 fund in this. So what I want to do is I want to simply transfer a couple of funds. So you can take the address. This is the private key. You can simply import that one, that particular account. That's easy one. Now we have to copy the address. Now what I will do, I'll simply come to the account and let me switch my account. So this is the token we have. Now this is the logout. Let me log out with a different account. So I'll not the email. I have to pass this one. Simply copy that one and see login is also working fine. So we'll say pass and login, and the login is working fine. We can verify the login system for the new account. Now log out one more time, and now we have to log in with the stalled account, and we're going to send couple of fund to that account we have created. So this much fund I have in this particular address. I'll click on the send and I'll get the address of the wallet. So I have selected this. Okay, let me reselect this one, copy that one and come back here and paste the address, paste the amount. So this much amount of transfer. Click on this transfer, and this will make the transfer. So just wait, it's making the transfer. And here we have transaction successfully. Click on that and you can see the transaction is happening. Come here, reload the browser, and we have the transaction. I guess yes, it's completed. You can check the block number and the confirmation, everything is working fine. And you can see the balance is deducted. Simply log out, and if you log in with the Rayan account, take the email, come here and paste it, the password. You will see we had couple of fund in here, and just wait, here we have one fund. So the transaction is went through and it's working fine. And if you want to import this particular account, it's already there with this particular user authentication. But if you want to import it and store it as a global private key, then you can do that very easily. All you have to do is to click on that and simply select the private key. So this one is optional, but you can do that. I want to show you how it's worked. You can paste here and you can click on import, and it's going to make the transaction. It's going to import your account. So it's went through. You can see it's went through. We got this success. We have this account. Now simply reload the browser, and if you click on that, you can see right now we have these three. You can click and you can simply change the account. So you can click on that, and here we have changed the account. So when you will import the private key, that would be available globally, so anybody can utilize it. Looks pretty good. All of this data, all the tokens is working fine. So I guess everything is clear to all of you guys. This is the backend part which is running. So if you really want to use it, the API, make sure that your backend should be running, then you can able to perform all this task. So this is the CDN we were using. Now we're going to use our local script. So let me close this one and let me bring this, let me stop the application running. So we have successfully tested and every single feature is working fine. And now you can able to see all the documents which we'll import, create, that all will be stored in our database. And this is pretty good. Now we have to work on a manifest.json file, because now we're going to upload this extension to the browser. So let's click on that, and here we have to do the configuration. We have to provide all the information to our Chrome browser about the name, descriptions, image icons, and the promises. That's all we have to provide up here. So let's type it. We'll give the name, the blockchain coder. Let's give the description. We'll say transfer fund to any wallet. Let's give the version. So it's totally up to you, whatever version name you can give, but this is the first extension we are building. If there is an update, you can simply give the second version. That's like that. And here we have to define the manifest version. So right now we have 1, 2, 3. So 2 is no longer recommended, so you have to use the updated 1, 3. And now we have to provide the action. So in action we have to define the HTML file and the icon. A lot of things you can define. So let's take the default pop-up, and we have to take the default icon. This is the fav icon we have, and here we have to give the permission. So we want add this to new tab, then bookmark, then unlimited storage, and we have the native messaging. So all this permission we want to provide to our extensions. So hope this entire thing makes sense. The list is very huge. You can do a lot of configuration here, but I will go with the simplest approach. You can define different icon types, but I will go with a different approach. So that's the only thing you have to do here to deploy. Make sure to provide all your name. Here I have provided mine. You can provide your own. So if you come back here in this, looks pretty good. This is the icon we are using. This is the manifest.json file. Looks good. Now close this one. And now we can start uploading this extension to browser. So what I will do, this is the entire API. Make sure that your API should be running. If you stop your API, you're not able to fetch the data and you're not able to authenticate user. So the best way to keep running your API, you can use any service provider. Like you can use DigitalOcean, or you can use any back API service hosting platform to host your API. So your API will keep running. All you have to do is to call the API in the extension and you will have the functionality. So I will show you locally, running the API locally, but in my future video I'm going to deploy this entire API onto a remote server like DigitalOcean, and we're going to connect it from. But for this moment we have to test like this. So first thing, we have to get into the Chrome API and we have to run our API. So start. So here we have started our API, and now we can test it. So simply bring this down and come back here in the browser and click on this 3 dot and go to the extension and click on manage extension, and from here you can able to have a look to all the extension you have installed and you can do the modification. So make sure to come here and turn on this developer mode, because when you will come here for the very first time it will be not on. So make sure to on this, and you can see I have already deployed this particular extension on my browser, and that's the name, the version you will find. So you can click and you can able to have a look. So if you can see the same backend I'm using in this particular API as well. So all we have to do is to simply pass the data and it will open fine. So if I pass the email and the password, this will work fine because the API is running and it's going to fetch the entire information from the backend and it's going to display the fund, everything and all, the Mumbai network, everything is working fine. Log out, but I'm going to remove it, and if anything goes wrong, that's all error you will find right up here. You can see this object, parse object, is not there. Because of that we are getting this error message. So that's not a big deal. If anything goes wrong, that's all error you will find here, and you can able to have a look and you can fix that. So click on this and I'm going to simply remove this extension. I'm going to deploy the extension we have built together. So click on remove and simply refresh the browser and click on this load unpacked, and you have to pick the folder where you have built the extension. So we are on the desktop, and here I'm on the desktop, and all the file we have into this MetaMask. So if you open that one, all the files you will find, but we have to upload this folder MetaMask. So select this one and click on select upload, and here we have uploaded our MetaMask file, and you can refresh. If you open that one, you can see the extension you will find right up here as soon as you upload. If you click on that and if you open this one, and here we got an error. So our extension is opening, but we got some error in our extension. So if you open this one, and this error is coming from the CDN, you can see, as I told you, that when you will use the CDN in the Chrome web browser, it's not going to work. We have to use locally. So that's the very easy fix. All we have to do is to use the local CDN. So come back in the code and go to the HTML, and we have to simply comment this, and we have to on this one. We have to use the local library, save it, and this will fix the issue. Reload this one and we have no issues. If you open that one, you can see no error we have, and now we can easily able to pass the email and the password, and you will log into the application. Select that, pass that one, click on login, and here we are. That's wonderful. You can see every single thing is working fine. We are fetching the information, transfer, log out. You can simply pick the different user, and here we are with that account. You can import the token, you can transfer the fund, you can pick the network, you can pick the different tabs, import, you can change the account. You can see this account has this much balance, so all the things are looking fine. So come back here, this is the database. Now I'll come back to the here we are back on the YouTube channel. You can see you can able to find all the things. Looks pretty good. This much fund we have. Log out, you can click and create an account, you can give a name. So this time I'm going to pick a different name. I'll say Zohan. He's my nephew. Then I will take the zohan@gmail.com, pick the password and click on sign up, and here we have created this account. Looks pretty good. We have nothing in here. You can copy and you can simply check the address you have created. Nothing in there. You can fetch the balance, it's connecting, and here we have, you can switch the accounts, and this much fund you have. So let's transfer the fund we have created on the account. So let's paste the address, and I want to transfer this fund, and this is the fund we have transferred. It's taking a bit time, and click on that and you can verify the transaction, it's happening. Now you can open that and you can simply log out, and you can go back to the account we have created. So Zohan, not Ran, remove that one, and we have to go to Zohan at the rate. Okay, my bad, I've given the wrong name and the password, that's why. So this is the email I have. So refresh that one, and let's say what's the email. This is the email I have, and we got an error. So if you paste the email and password, it's not going to work. It will not call the API because our API is stuck because we made a mistake and we have an error. So we have to save it, the app.js file, to restart the API. So come back here, save it, it will restart the API, and now we can make it call. So click on login, and here we are back. You can see our data is absolutely fine. This is the amount we have transferred. So make sure to come here in the extension, manage extension, and here you will find all the errors if anything goes wrong. So now let's change the icon. So what I will do, I'll come here and I will search for extension icon, and let's search for manifest, and you can define multiple icon size. So what I will do here, you can see this is the configuration we have to do in the manifest, and all the information you will find here. So come back here in the manifest file, close all of this, and you can simply paste here. But I don't have the images, so I guess I will get an error. Simply copy that one and simply change the icon name. I'm giving the same icon for all the different sizes. I guess I will get an error. So if I refresh, you can see I'm getting an error because I have to pick the right size images. Okay, so that's not working, so I'll just remove that. I'm not going to use this particular icon, but you can define and you can have a look on their manifest configuration. So remove this one. I'll keep it simple. Looks good, no issue we have, and everything is working fine. You can transfer, you can have a look. So make sure to your API should be running. If you really want to use this particular extension to the production, you can deploy the API to any particular hosting platform, and that would be working fine. So I'll simply come here, I will close this one and close this one. Make sure to comment this one, and we can simply have a look, refresh. If you open that one, still our API is running in the background, so we can able to fetch all the information. If you open the terminal, you can see our API is running. So if you want to stop the API, simply stop it, and this time you're not able to fetch the information, but still you can able to do the basic things like transfer the font and fetching the balance. If you reload the browser, our API is stopped. You won't have any data, but you can transfer the font and you can fetch the balance. These are the two things you can do, because in these two things the API is not involved. Okay, looks good. So hope this entire thing makes sense, and if you want to get the source code, come here to the blockchain coder. Here you will find all the project we have built. So come here in the source code section, and here you will find the complete source code. So click on this recent project, and this is the project MetaMask clone. You can click here and you can get the starter file as well as the complete file. You can search also, type MetaMask. So these are the two versions we have. This one is the minimum one, and this one is the full-fledged MetaMask. You can simply watch the video that how to do the setup once you will get the source code, or you can click here and you can simply buy the source code, final code, and you can get the starter file. I hope you guys are following this project, and once we complete with this one, we're going to work on the staking dApp, which is almost done and looks pretty good. Now within a few days we're going to start working on the staking tab, so make sure to come and have a look on all the project we have built. Check the playlist, and that will give you a pretty good idea. So looks pretty good to me. So that's the only thing I want to cover in this particular project. I hope you guys have understood every single thing we have covered, the way we have built the custom logic, the way we have designed the layout, the way we have style, the way we have configured, the way we have built the backend part. So everything is clear. If you have encountered any error, try to rewatch the video and try to understand that what logic we have built. Get the starter file, compare the packages we have used, and if you want to take the final code, you can take it and you can compare it. So if you have any doubt, any query, do let me know in the comment section. I'll try to help you in that. For the time being, have a wonderful day, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do so. That will give me huge motivations to make this kind of project, and I hope you guys will get a lot of benefits. So that's the only thing I want to talk about. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.